welcome to Zero Credibility Sports, a safe space where sport opinions collide. Hi, I'm your host, Peter. I'm joined today with my friends, Harry.
Hello.
And Justin.
Hello.
All right, let's go. All right, we're going to start with the NBA again. So, Kyrie said he's going to resign for one more year. Do you believe him?
I shared it with some of my teammates as well as the organization and everyone else in Boston. You guys will have me back. I plan on resigning here next year.
Yeah or nay?
I could see him re-signing for a year, keeping in mind that it's a year.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not really it's not a real commitment. You know what I mean? It gives him an out. You know, it allows him to assess his options. I think
based on right now, he probably would resign.
I mean,
but yeah,
and I think at the end of the day, even if he does resign for a year, it doesn't really put him out that much, to be honest. In my opinion.
Agreed.
So yeah, I think it's generally a safe move.
What about you, Harry?
So I haven't followed this as closely as you have. Was the question posed to him, or has he actually signaled his intentions he's going to sign, or what?
He signaled his intentions to the Boston fans that, like...
How did he signal his intention?
When they were playing, right before the home game, they obviously did like a media day or something, of some sort to the fans, and he was like, yeah, I'm actually keen on resigning.
What is he supposed to say?
They wouldn't let me not resign anyway.
No, he didn't have to say it. He didn't have to say it, but he came out...
What was the question? Was the question posed to him?
No, he was just talking about like how they're going to start the season and everything. And
to me, it's much ado about nothing.
Yeah, of course, agreed. No,
I agree. It's one of those things where like, it doesn't really change much whether he leaves or not.
Yeah.
It doesn't really change much.
True. All right, so we'll go with it doesn't matter. But do you believe
until he actually signs on the dotted line? Anything anyone says, it could be innocent. It could actually be his intent, his where his heart is, or it could be a ploy. It could be a negotiating ploy. It could be anything.
True.
So I don't know Kyrie well enough to know what his actual intentions are in this respect.
I think the reality of what will happen, right, is that he'll see if the Knicks can get their star in the postseason.
Should be Butler.
Yeah, and then the Knicks will probably talk to him as well.
Yeah,
and then that's when I tend to agree with Harry. That's when the real his intention right now probably could be to sign, but I think even if it doesn't, it's just 1 year.
Just like my dad. Your actions speak louder than your words. Yeah.
So no big deal.
But that happens in all walks of life. Exactly. Right.
Let's talk about the Seattle Supersonics. KD
They're defunct.
For a team.
They no longer exist. Is that what you're talking about?
No, KD is pushing for a team in Seattle. He's trying to revive them of some sort.
NBA is back in Seattle for tonight, but hopefully it's back forever soon.
And Adam Silver came out and he went on the Players Tribune podcast with CJ McCollum, and he said, yeah, there will be shortlisted if the NBA were to expand. But I mean, basically, what I want to get with in terms of this topic is about how is there enough talent in the NBA for more teams?
I mean, well, I think so. I mean, it's just you could say the same about like when they expanded last time, right? Yeah. And the thing is, this KD pushing for the Sonics thing, I'm really not sure. Like, this is not new news, Like he's been. I wouldn't say he's been pushing for it, but whenever he's ever been asked the question,
he reps.
Would you support a team back in Seattle? He always says yes. Right?
Oh, what else is he supposed to say?
Yeah, exactly. Right. What else is he supposed to say? So I question whether he's really pushing for it. And the same with Adam Silver, right? This, whoever's going to ask him if there's a league expansion, would you support a team in Seattle? He say, oh yeah, they'll definitely be on the ballot. I think he said that for. As long as he's been commissioner, and David Stern has said the same thing as long as he's been commissioner as well. So it's just a matter of, I think
actions.
I agree with Harry. Like, what else is he going to say?
Okay,
you're playing to the fans.
So here's I've thought about this pragmatically. So the NBA has 30 teams. When you have expansion, I'm not sure they want 31. So if you're going to have expansion, you're probably going to have 32. So is that likely? Don't think so. So that's just in abstract. Or what also has happened, I think, was some proposal, I want to say last year, where they want to, if they were going to relocate a franchise to go to Seattle.
Yeah.
And I think the one that's most likely talked about is Sacramento.
Yeah, Sacramento.
But that but that's another sort of abstract thing. But in terms of the practical matter, is business. Do you know? I don't know if you know the history of why the franchise relocated from Seattle to Oklahoma City.
I'm not too sure why, actually.
It's essentially Seattle is a town or is a city. It's very liberal. It's northwest, and I think its citizens don't really want to vote to devote taxpayers' money to fund a stadium. Because a lot of these stadiums are publicly funded.
They just don't love sports then.
Well, no, because they say, with some justification, and it's up to each individual city, they say, hey, listen, these money is better off used to help the needy, help the homeless, help subsidize housing. Sports is really a first-class problem. It's because, so when Seattle when the franchise was in Seattle, it was owned by Howard Schultz, the owner of Starbucks. Okay? You know Starbucks, right?
Yep.
So he owned the franchise, and because he wanted to renovate the arena, the Key Arena, which was the oldest arena, or certainly the smallest capacity, he wanted to renovate it to enlarge the capacity and also to perhaps overdo the corporate suites.
Yep.
He went to the city, he said, I need, $220 million to renovate it. And the city said, no, our citizens don't really want that. And because of that, because he couldn't get public funding, he felt it was a money-losing proposition, so he had to sell it. And he tried to sell it to people in Seattle, but there was no takers. And then he sold to someone in Oklahoma City, which is Oklahoma City, was a group in Oklahoma City fronted by Clay Bennett.
Okay.
And he purchased it. There was a lot of shenanigans going on whether we think Clay Bennett was always going to take it to Oklahoma City.
But they did.
They did. But he obviously maintained that, hey, listen, I try to get as much as I could. I try to get some funding because, you can't really survive without public funding to renovate the stadium, to renovate the arena. He didn't get it done. He wanted $500 million. All these lawsuits going on with emails to say, hey, listen, we say we're going to try to stay in Seattle, but we're really going to take it to OKC.
All right.
At the end of the day, they settled, took it to OKC 2 years ahead of the lease ending, and that's why the franchise. That's why the Seattle don't have a NBA team, because the citizens aren't in the mood to fund its sports stadium. So ultimately, it's about that. Adam Silver can say all the right things, but
the people.
No business person really want to own a franchise unless it's a money-making proposition. And how do you make money? Well, you don't want to fund building your own stadium. You want the public to fund it. So it doesn't look like. I think the citizens has its priorities in order, but because of that, it's probably not going to be getting any franchise anytime soon.
Right. Well, having said that. And I agree with you. Yeah. And this is the same thing that's happening with Sacramento, right? Where a lot of the talk is that the owner wants to sell out. And it's the main reason is a stadium issue as well.
Yeah.
It's what happened with New Jersey and the Nets as well, moving to Brooklyn. The one wrinkle that I'm going to put there is let's talk about if you want to talk about the likelihood of going to Seattle, Key Arena is now actually going under intense renovation. It's now owned by a private group of investors. It's actually now going under an expansion that's funded by these investors. And by the way, if you're a Dota fan and you know where the International is held, you will know that Key Arena is not home of the International this year and next year because Key Arena is closed for renovation.
So when you say, what's international? What are you talking about?
It's a tournament. It's a video game tournament.
Oh, Dota.
It's esports.
No. I've heard of this acronym. What is this?
Dota.
Dota. That's the name of the game.
No, what is Dota?
No, but what's that?
Defense of the Ancients.
Yeah, Defense of the Ancients.
But anyway, the reason I know that Key Arena is undergoing major renovation is because they didn't hold the International there this year.
Because it's been renovated, has it?
They're not going to hold it next year because it's being renovated.
By a private? Why are they doing that?
I don't know. But the thing is, so I think that's sort of maybe why now there's this, there's sort of a bit more of a flame in terms of is Seattle getting a basketball team back? Just because, like you said, the main reason they moved out was obviously across a multitude of reasons, but one of the main reasons was for their stadium expansion.
I think that's
that stadium expansion is happening.
Right.
And it's happening right now. It was approved by, I guess, the equivalent of town planning over in Seattle. What year is it now? Now it's 2018.
Of course they would approve it. If they don't have to spend a cent, of course they would approve it, right?
Speaking from experience, town planning approval is not so easy. But
if for example, someone's going to... Because this building, I think it's only used for the WNBA team, correct? Or am I wrong? Is it in use, first of all?
It is in use, but I'm not sure, if it's the home stadium of anyone. You might be right.
Okay.
In terms of it's.
So if I'm
is it a basketball
Seattle
stadium? Is it just strictly a basketball?
No, they use it for concerts and other stuff.
right.
As well.
So if I'm the town planner, and if someone, this is sort of underused, let's say, right? Because you don't have 41 dates for an NBA team. I'm sure some singers will book it out, but it's not like more than 100 days a year, right? 100 nights a year. So if I'm a mayor, of course I'm going to approve something. If no strings attached, you want to renovate this, then go for your life.
Well, Harry, speaking from experience, town planning is not so easy to get approved.
There's a lot of stakeholders involved, and sometimes it might make.
Okay,
a lot of
I understand. But if you're telling me that it's a private, if they are willing to foot the bill, I think it's more likely than not that they'll approve it.
I mean, compared to using public funds, yeah, you're right.
Of course.
All right.
I mean, if you want to compare, you're right. So that's probably where this
That's
whole
interesting.
idea
I want to
of
look this up. We'll come back to it next week.
And by the way, according to the plans, you look at the plans, this new stadium, I mean, I guess you would expect it to, but it looks pretty sick.
Okay.
Pretty sick.
So it's just an indoor stadium. I thought the Seattle Sound.
Yeah, it's just an indoor stadium, and obviously they're expanding capacity,
Yeah.
and they're gonna put in all this new stuff as well. So it looks pretty cool. So there's a lot of excitement within the Dota community of going back to Key Arena after 2019.
E-games. We'll cover e-games.
Can I ask how? Oh, jeez. Can I ask how many? How long is it? Is it just 1 week a year, for example, or what?
Are you talking about Dota tournament?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a week.
So that's not going to have much of a say on.
They could have multiple.
No. I mean, they don't. But that's where they hold the tournament every year, right? And so they didn't hold this year, and there was questions why is it not held this year?
Okay.
And they said, well, it's not held this year because it's been closed for renovation.
Right.
And that's how I know it's being renovated.
Okay.
Right. Shall we quickly talk about the new news that broke today about Jimmy Butler saying?
Oh man,
that was so
again?
Good.
Oh man,
yeah, he came out.
This is 3 weeks in a row for someone who's not a franchise player.
Yeah, but these are developments though.
Oh my god!
Like there's an ongoing thread.
Yeah, Watch came out reporting apparently during the training scrimmage, he was playing for the second team.
The third string.
Oh, the third string.
The third string.
He was playing and he targeted Wiggins and Cat.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
called him soft.
Yeah, and then he
yelled at the owner.
The owner, you fucking need me.
Yeah.
And
is that right?
They had an interview right after that, and he confirmed all of them.
You returned to practice for the first time with the Wolves, and I'm just gonna read a little bit of Adrian Wojnarowski's report on what happened there. That you were loud, emotional, passionate, we like to say, targeting Coach Tom Thibodeau, teammates like Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, that you told GM Scott Layton, quote, "You effing need me." How would you describe what happened today?
A lot of it's true.
All of them.
By the way,
that was mostly true.
By the way, you missed the most important point. He led the third string to win in their scrim against the first team.
That says a lot.
That says a lot. Honestly, this whole thing that happened today, has really sort of made me think. I think if you're a GM in another team and you're looking for leadership, you'd start to look a bit more at Jimmy Butler, I think.
And you start looking at Cat and go you need to stop playing Fortnite. You need to stop playing video games. Yeah, I mean, it's I've seen enough of Cat's character. I think me and you are in agreement that he's soft. In terms of he's not tough enough in the playoff games.
Yeah, I'll go not tough enough rather than the one word that you said before. But okay, go on.
The 4-letter word.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
But seriously, this is too much Minnesota, right? Jimmy Butler, Minnesota, it's too much.
One more thing. He said the relationship between him and Minnesota is not fixed, and he even agreed. Honestly, said it might not ever be fixed.
This is where
I don't think. I think
it's too far.
I don't think there's. I mean, everyone knows it though.
Yeah.
So will he move this window, or would he move after?
He'll move by the trade deadline for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure how it works necessarily in basketball when a player obviously has issues with the organization, whether they sort of say, all right, I'm just not going to play or whatever, and they force the hand of the org. But obviously, if you're Minnesota,
look at Kawhi.
Actually, that's a good point. But obviously, if you're Minnesota, you also want to try to get decent pieces for him because you can probably get decent pieces for Jimmy Butler, and that's been the hold up in the trade. Really, like I think Minnesota feels that they're not getting decent pieces for him. But to be honest, I think after this episode today, I think more GMs will be on the phone to the Wolves, like GMs that are looking for a leader in their team. Yeah. And I agree with Harry. I think he'll move before the deadline because I think that.
Well, you're going to have to because
like
Minnesota's not going to get anything after deadline. Yeah, they can't. He's going to walk.
Yeah.
And as it gets closer and closer, the price. Well, I'm just trying to think. Would it drop or would it go up? I don't know. Honestly, Jimmy Butler, this is the last time we should talk about Jimmy Butler unless he goes to Houston. Because anywhere he goes, I don't think is relevant. I'm sorry to say.
I mean, it might not be relevant in terms of, like he goes there this year and they won't be, and they'll be challenging for the title. I think you're right. Unless he goes to Houston, there's probably no team that I can think of.
I don't know what the fascination of Jimmy Butler is, I have to say.
I mean, it's just...
Oh, man, he's
it's the biggest trade news in the league right now.
True.
When he's the biggest trading news, we should just move on. And there's nothing... I love Jimmy Butler.
And it evolves every week, though. Like, and they're actually evolved. Like, there's actually news about it. Like, as in, like...
It's good news. It's
news. Like, genuine... There's actually genuine evolution every week instead of just, like, nothing.
Dude, it's like waking up and you see a news where a guy basically goes to his boss, you fucking need me, and the boss doesn't fire it. Like, Not yet.
Okay.
So, let's move on to... Let's just talk, like, soccer. Football, sorry, my bad. My bad.
It's football.
Oh, shit. All right, let's talk about United. Newcastle game. Did you watch it?
I did.
Fuck, it was great.
I watched the whole game. I watched it live.
Very terrible first half.
No. Can we talk about the game even before the game started?
The game before the game.
Even before the game started.
Oh, yeah, okay. Mourinho under fire.
Well, sorry, when you say before, you're talking about, what are you talking about? The press conference on the Friday?
No, just all the whole story behind.
So on the day itself. On the day itself, right? How
the news broke,
like, or rather, how did you feel before the game itself? As a fan, how did you feel before the game itself?
Nervy. Like, I was like, shit, Mourinho might be gone after this game, and we don't know what, like, a high level of uncertainty, a black hole of uncertainty, and I think this probably ran through your mind as well. Fuck, another few years of like terrible rebuilding.
Well, as we spoke about last week, and I think the week before, I thought that, Mourinho would probably go, and if he went, that would mean, you're right, another few years of rebuilding. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is I watched the build up to the game, and remember how last week I said I think the fans have turned against him, whereas previously I didn't think so, but last week I said I think the fans have turned against him. I watched the build up to the game.
No.
And they showed a lot of the stadium. And they showed there was a point where how they read out the team news before the game starts?
Yep.
Who's in the starting lineup?
Yep.
And when they read out Mourinho's name, there was an audible cheer.
Yeah. No.
Right? More so than boo. I thought there would be boos, but there was an audible cheer more so than boos.
I think what Gary Neville did. Yeah. Gary Neville came out and said, "We have to back the manager."
I'm nodding my head right now.
And I think what Gary Neville said was right. I mean, like, last week, me and Justin both voiced out our support that we should stick by the manager. And, and all this news, obviously, Mourinho is going to blow it up. Oh, there's a manhunt for him. But it's kind of true, partially true.
So the reading out of the name and the cheer, that's to be expected, I would think. Because when you have someone who hasn't played football, who's in management, the executive position, you're usually the bogeyman.
Yeah, true.
Right? And I did see Gary Neville's comments on Friday Night Football, because I think there was a Daily Mail piece out reporting that whether they win or lose, he's going to get fired.
Can we not use Daily Mail as a source?
Right, well, okay, but no, I'm not saying I'm using it, but the impetus for Gary Neville talking about it was that piece. Right? Now, I haven't expressed this on this forum, but Gary Neville is one of my two favorite commentators in sports.
Who's the other
one? Tony Romo. I think these two are they've advanced the level of commentary to a certain level.
Yeah.
I think, and I would put John McEnroe in it too because I love listening to him too. So Gary's one of my favorite. Certainly in soccer, no one else comes close. Certainly in football.
Just like I think correct me if I'm wrong, Harry, but like when I first saw him when he first got into punditry, right, I was blown away.
Yeah.
At like, I think even if you were not a United fan, even if you're a Liverpool fan, you hate Gary Neville, right?
He was fair.
You're blown away by, and it's not just about being fair. It's about the level of detail and analysis that like you can actually call what he says analysis.
Yeah.
Right. Rather than
just recounting the events.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
He'll tell you on the spot, not on the spot, but sometimes on the spot, who's wrong, whose mistake was it that the goal led through.
Right.
Many people don't say that. They just describe this beautiful goal, but they don't tell you what led up to the why.
Yeah.
You
turned his back here.
Do you know what I hate the most? It's like when you watch Alan Shearer on like Match of the Day and stuff. And like someone wins the ball and scores a goal. It's like, oh, he just wanted. You could just see he just wanted it more.
Yeah,
it's like that's not like what?
Yeah,
that's
I
not
agree.
analysis.
So I want to emphasize he's my favorite in football by far. I think Jamie Carragher is really good too, but he's not a commentator. He's not a match commentator as much. Gary Neville's the best, I think. So I want to emphasize that. But I will say this: from what I've noticed, from what I've witnessed, he has I would say maybe even three biases. Two biases. One is England. When it comes to England, he has a bias. Yep. It's understandable, I suppose.
I mean, he's a coach of England.
Yeah.
Well, even now, when he's not a coach, when he's a pundit, I think the bias comes through.
Of course.
Certainly during the World Cup. And I think the second bias is Manchester United.
Yep.
Sometimes. Of course. On commentary, when he's commentating a United game, it doesn't come through. But on certain incidences, his United days sort of comes through.
Of course.
Yeah. And I think in that that 5-minute
rant,
rant, I think it came through because, and also I would say
he even came out and said it, like it's not me as a punter, it's me as a Manchester United
fan. So not only that, but I do think this. I think because he's met Mourinho, I'm pretty certain they've met. He likes Mourinho, so he's going to be biased towards that. I see that in that piece. And obviously, he probably doesn't see eye to eye with the board, which perhaps it's Woodward mainly, or maybe there are a couple other guys on the board. So he's sort of biased against that. I saw that's what I saw.
And what about players?
So I wouldn't take it. I would take it with a grain of salt.
What about players that came out? Do you read about Diego Lopez, the keeper, who came out today to support Mourinho, saying he's a master of master psychologist?
Damien Duff came out as well, and you know.
Can I? So who's Damien Duff? I'm sorry about the ignorance.
Oh no, he used to play for him at Chelsea.
At Chelsea, first round at Chelsea.
Yeah, I think he won one league title with him.
He won many. Like he was starting left winger for Chelsea. 2005,
and then he was sold to Newcastle United.
These are cherry-picked examples.
No,
if you have something negative to say, you probably don't say it. You probably hold it in.
I mean,
right?
It came out.
Like, hold on,
today.
Like, hold on. Before we go into this whole thing, right? Like, of course, whenever any manager's under fire, you know, there are people that are going to come out. People who support him are going to come out and support him.
You're more likely to take to the media with a positive message of support than someone who may have a negative. Right? You just don't say anything, right? You don't want to sort of no.
I mean, well, people have spoken against Mourinho as well, but regardless, right? Regardless, what I'm trying to say is that my opinion on this Gary Neville thing is. It's actually quite similar to yours in the sense that you could tell that he was speaking as a United fan. Yeah. Now, the point where you say he's obviously met Mourinho and he likes Mourinho and so he's going to back Mourinho, I think you could probably say the same thing. I mean, let's say he went the other way. Let's say he spoke the other way, right? You could say, well, he knows Ed Woodward. He's worked with Ed Woodward. And he's obviously going to back Ed Woodward, right?
No.
So...
Well, okay, go on. Sorry.
So regardless, you know, I think that Gary Neville was speaking pretty much exactly what you and I, Peter, were saying last week, right? Where he's like Manchester United
is a club
that stands by the managers,
the
right?
culture,
and that is speaking more from the heart than from the mind.
That's certainly part of it. I will say that, yes.
Yeah. And that's what I said last week as well, right? Like, look, the way I grew up with Man United was that they were a club that stood by the manager, but I think things have changed now, and they'll probably let him go.
Yeah,
right. So there's also this thing that came up from that where I can't remember. It might have been Carragher, it might have been someone else, but it said, and I agree with this quite strongly actually, where he says because there's so much turmoil at Manchester United, right? Obviously, when sort of shit's hitting the fan, right? People start to blame everything.
Yeah.
And so there's this oscillation now between who's to blame, right? You remember how I said last week, I think the fans have turned on Mourinho?
Yep.
Well, this week it seems the fans have turned on the board.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen next week is probably they're going to turn on Mourinho again. And the week after, they're going to turn on the board. It's just going to be finger pointing everywhere.
I think a lot of it has to do with the result, though, no?
I mean, I think even regardless of the result, like there'll be this, it's finger pointing, right? And people are going to be, oh, well, actually, it's this guy. And then someone influential will say, no, it's actually that guy. And people say, oh, no, yeah, you're right, it's actually this guy. And then someone else influential will come and say, oh, actually, it's this guy. And everybody will go that way. Like, you know what I mean? There'll be, but one everyone's pointing fingers at everyone. So there'll be an oscillation.
One thing we have to clarify, though. Right. The United board has always been under scrutiny ever since the Glazers came on board. Ever since. Well, it's just
ever since Ed Woodward came on board, actually, because of the first window that he oversaw, which was disastrous. Yeah,
the Fellaini window. Yeah, that was a terrible window.
Okay, so but this is the blind spot that I see with Neville, where why I believe, from what I've seen, he's spoken out against someone who has been disrespectful in. Not just in football, in politics. He's spoken out about people who are, who's very sort of
pro-Brexit, non-Brexit,
condescending to the media, who just doesn't, his comportment, his behaviour isn't what you would expect from a person in a high-profile position.
From a Manchester United manager.
Sorry?
Go on.
What? Okay. And he's sort of looking the other way with Mourinho. And I understand... It happens with everyone. When you like someone, when you come across someone and you like them, you look the other way with their flaws.
Yeah,
where in actual fact,
you make excuses for them.
Yes, yeah. And when, especially people that you don't know who's in the public arena, the very same traits, you would not hesitate to critique him if that was in his heart, and that's in his heart. Yep. He's not afraid to criticize politicians who doesn't have the sort of what he calls proper sort of decorum. Rightly so, but Mourinho also doesn't live up to that, but he makes excuses. Yep. So therefore, to me, there's a blind spot there, because I think everything I've seen, he's sort of backed Mourinho because he likes Mourinho's sort of attitude. He likes that, which is fine, but he overlooks some of his sort of comportment, which is one of the reasons why the board or sort of that's led to this turmoil with the players as well.
Or maybe he done a proper like cost benefit analysis and go like, he's still the best man there for the job.
Yeah, but you can do that. Say, listen, despite all the comportment issues that I have with him, he's still better. But he didn't do that.
He just said, I back him.
Yeah, he sort of just whitewashes some of the negative, which he wouldn't do if it was someone that he has not met or if someone he doesn't like. Yeah. And I get the sense that he probably doesn't like, or certainly doesn't see eye to eye with those on the board. I don't even know how many people's on the board, but certainly Woodward is the main guy. But there might be other people on the board that he also doesn't like. So he has a very critical eye with the board because he just. So therefore, I take his comments with a grain of salt.
Well, I think you're right. In terms of he has, but in the situation that Man United are in now, right? Like everyone's going to take a side. You know what I mean? Like fans are going to take a side. Players are going to take a side. Like pundits are going to take a side as well.
You don't have to take a side
and to be fair,
one way or the other necessarily. What I mean by that, sorry, you don't have to say all the way 100 one way or the other.
Yeah, of course.
You can say,
okay, if you say who is the most right or wrong, when you have to pick a side to go like, okay, if I had to pick a side, who would you go?
And to be fair to Gary Neville, coming back to what you brought up, Peter, he did very clearly when he said it. He said, "I'm speaking as a Manchester United fan."
Yeah.
Like I say, I'm reacting maybe a little bit emotionally, but I don't particularly care anymore, to be honest with you, in respect of what I say. You can say it's unprofessional, but I have to speak as a fan and what I feel. And
so, and
that probably gets lost, though.
Yeah, I agree. Reporting. But the thing is, like, it's quite interesting because I'm not sure if you guys saw the pre-game from was it Sky Sports? Someone else, where they had Rio and Scholes.
Paul Scholes,
So that's BT Sport.
Yeah, and you can tell Scholes is not a fan of Mourinho.
Oh, Scholes is not.
Scholes is not. He didn't say that he didn't like Mourinho, but you can tell.
Yeah,
he's not a fan.
He's been after Mourinho for a long, long time.
To be fair, I love Scholes, but the way Scholes says it is like it doesn't matter if the news come after you. It's your job. that's the way he goes at it. I don't think he goes into his analysis or his comments with a personal agenda against Mourinho. But he's like, even Roy Keane said, like, just suck the shit up.
No, but whatever he's saying is colored by his personal opinion, right?
Who are you talking about? You talking about anyone?
Scholes, like anyone. But like Gary Neville, what he says is going to be informed by his personal opinion. The same with Scholes. What he says is going to be informed by his personal opinion, right?
It's split. Okay, I'll tell you this.
Sorry, personal opinion or personal interaction? Because obviously you're supposed to give your personal opinion, but you could be colored by your personal interaction with that person.
No, but all of these players would have interacted with
I mean, they all
Mourinho.
have biases.
Yeah.
Like, of course they do. And
they're all what? Sorry?
They all have their own biases. Of course they do. And
Yeah.
like I said, the
Well,
situation...
the trick is to drop those biases on... No, look, I'm not criticizing Gary Neville. I'm just saying we just got to take those comments with a grain of salt. That's all.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Right,
but that's why you watch the Gary Neville thing and then you watch the Rio and Scholes thing because it's quite...
Yeah, it's different.
It's on both sides, actually.
I don't look, Paul Scholes is not the greatest commentator pun in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not the best speaker.
But in this case, I actually think he has less biases. He's just giving his forthright opinion.
I agree.
So, and by the way, even if he's giving his forthright opinion, doesn't mean it's necessarily the correct opinion either.
Yep.
Right? It just, I actually appreciate the fact that he has less, if he has a bias, he's checked it at the door, it seems like.
Agreed.
That he's not afraid to critique.
Instead of like analyzing their opinions and how they formulate.
I think he wanted to.
Let's go. I think we're running out of time because we haven't even talked about the game.
Yeah. Okay.
We
Before we go to
the actual game,
the game's being dissected many ways, but okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Before we talk about game, I mean, at the end of the day, right? Obviously, we all agree that Mourinho deserves some criticism because he's the manager, right?
100%.
But 100%. The board deserves criticism for not getting him what he needs as well.
True?
Or no.
I don't know about that, to be honest.
Okay, let's go back. You guys know this. You two Manchester United fans know this better than me. But if you look at the track record of of Mourinho's players, hasn't been good.
Oh, you mean
right?
by
Lindelof.
He
got. Who else did he get?
Look, I don't want to put Bailly in there. But let's talk about.
Well, hold on. Why not?
Because when Bailly came to United, he was the star in that defense. He was seen as the successor to Ferdinand and Vidic. But all right,
hasn't worked
out.
But
half of the year.
But rather, all right, but
it hasn't worked out for whatever reason. It hasn't worked out.
No, like the reason you say it hasn't worked out because Man United are playing bad. When Man United is playing bad, and the situation they're in now, no player is looking good. But all right, I think we shouldn't go down this road because I think there are very clear examples of players who have failed. Angel Di Maria, right?
Yeah,
it's failed from the start. Alexis Sanchez has failed from the start.
No, but Angel Di Maria isn't. We're talking about Jose Mourinho's players that he's gotten, which is, Bailly and Lindelof.
All right, okay. Besides that, do any of you agree? Okay, no, let's just before we go down
Sanchez as well.
Do any of you
Pogba,
so
Ibrahimovic.
Did the board not give? Okay, I think they gave Mourinho what he wants.
So can you?
They never give him fully what he wants.
But wait a minute, he's given him all these players, and they see you don't have a good track record. All the players that you bought. So wait a minute, now we might actually have to not give in to anything that you want because you don't have to. You don't really have a good track record of your selection of players.
So this is Rio Ferdinand's exact argument, right?
I didn't hear him. But
so this is Rio's exact argument, where Rio's sort of, for me, that's why I struggle to lay the blame 100% on the board as well.
Yep.
But Rio's argument, like Rio is essentially on the same wavelength in terms of saying that, look, he has this track record of buying these players, and not all of them have been successful.
Most have not been successful.
Okay, whatever.
Right, okay.
Like we're arguing semantics, right? Like
actually,
so and all of them have been successful, and then it becomes you're coming back and asking me for more money, for more players.
Yeah.
Right. Like in maybe another job, for example, if you ask for resources and you don't deliver, you're probably not going to struggle to get those that backing again from from your bosses, right?
Yeah.
And then the counter argument to that, which I'm not sure how much I believe as well, was well, if you look at someone like Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp, and you look at someone like Pep Guardiola at Manchester City, they have signings as well which have failed spectacularly.
Yeah.
And yet the board have backed them to go out and buy more players.
Even Ferguson had bad times.
Yeah, and fulfill those and fulfill those roles. And the example that was given was for Man City was particularly defense, right? Do you remember, like, was it last season or the season before, where they went out?
Player.
They went out and spent 50 mil on Kyle Walker and 50 mil on Mendy.
Yeah.
And because they didn't have and the year before that they had bought Otamendi.
Oh yeah, Otamendi.
They had bought Eluku Mangala.
Yeah, Mangala
players
was the one.
who, were supposed to. I mean,
the players.
They came in. They came in
yeah.
for big money. They didn't succeed.
I think every team there's an example.
And then the next season they spent 60 mil on Kyle Walker, which at the time was ridiculous. Like people were like, ridiculous, 60 mil for Kyle Walker.
For right back.
Yeah, for a right back. And then they went on and spent 55 mil on Mendy. It's like, wow, that's ridiculous, right?
All right.
So that was the argument against it. And I think
at the end of the day, I think what I'm trying to simplify is I think both sides deserve the blame. Or if you want to break it down percentage-wise, we can do that in another episode. But Harry wants to have a go.
But you're talking in generalities. I mean, we're talking about specifically what ratio of Mourinho signings have been justified or have come out to say, you know what, that was a good buy. There's not a lot.
I mean, if you want to bring up the signings, we can bring up the signings.
Let's bring up the signings. Because I think, look, no manager has been flawless. Right? No one.
Again, I want.
It's about the ratio. It's about
Harry,
how much you succeed versus how much you fail.
Harry, I just want to point out that I'm just summarizing what Rio Ferdinand said.
I didn't hear what he said.
I just told you.
No, okay. So I'm
not saying that this is my personal. I'm not saying that this is my personal opinion.
Right.
I'm saying that this is what was said.
All right. Let me name the players. Eric Bailly.
Yep.
Would you say it's a flop?
Zlatan.
Yep.
I would say that's a flop, not on the pitch, but off the pitch. Okay.
Henrik Mkhitaryan.
That's a flop.
The lesser said, the better.
That was a flop. Paul Pogba.
Well, yes.
Thumbs up or contentious?
For the money, yes.
Lindelof. Okay, I would say so far not so good. Lukaku. Great.
I pushed for the buy.
No, wait. No, I wouldn't say great. I think it's okay, but not great.
Okay.
Yeah, Matic,
okay.
I think Matic
not
could
flops.
buy.
Okay, not flops.
Although you have to admit, Lukaku hasn't lived up to it, but he hasn't been a disruption. He's being a model.
He still scored
player.
goals. Like last season, he scored I think 21.
Not in the. He's improved in the biggest matches, but certainly you would expect for £75 million to do more in the big matches. Would you agree or disagree?
I don't think you can go with it doesn't transfer like that. Like it doesn't translate. Like you pay 75 million, he'll score on the big goal. I mean that's what you expect, but that's not what always happens.
I know, but it hasn't happened for a bit. Okay, so let's just say the jury's still out, in my opinion. Obviously we have to look at the money too, right?
Yeah.
So for 75 mil, the jury's still out on.
No, but what about the
Lukaku.
United premium? There's a United premium.
No, I don't think there's a United premium. I think there's an every player premium now. Like 75 mil today is not seen as
a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Has there been let's go with that's not a positive. Oh, that's a swap deal. Okay.
Sanchez.
Not a positive.
Hasn't lived up to expectations.
Okay.
Dalot.
Too early.
Haven't seen him.
Too early.
Haven't seen
okay.
him.
Fred. That's another. Fred. He's not even in the squad. He's not even starting.
3-4 games.
£52 million. Not even. So has there been a positive whatsoever? I don't think there's a positive. The best you can say is Lukaku and Matic, and to me they're not necessary.
And maybe Zlatan. But Harry, I'm just gonna say. I'm just gonna say again, right?
I disagree.
But yeah, here's what I'm gonna say, right? The way that United's been, right? I don't think you can say that because they're not playing well and because they're a bad sport. No player looks good.
And
like
who's responsible for it?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, but listen to what I'm saying. Yeah, like no player looks good, right?
No, but who's responsible? Okay, I do understand what you're saying. All I'm saying is that so you can say some of his transfer moves have not worked out because of the team, because of the camaraderie of the team. But the coach is mostly responsible for that too, no?
Let me ask you a question,
please.
Throughout this whole conversation we've had so far, have I told you this is what I personally believe, or this is what I personally think?
But you have tried to defend or make a counter argument for that, and I'm shooting that counter argument.
Have I said that though? Because I remember what I've been saying is that okay, this is what Gary Neville said.
Yeah.
This is what Rio Ferdinand said. This is what Paul Scholes has said.
No, so are you speaking? Are you voicing Rio Ferdinand's point of view, or are you voicing your point of view?
No, he's just giving another view.
Well, I said that. Well, you said something along the lines of, well, he hasn't. Mourinho has spent all this money, so should he get again? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, that's exactly what Rio Ferdinand said.
Oh, sorry. So you're using Rio Ferdinand's view. You're not, because We're talking about because you're trying to explain why these signings haven't worked.
I'm not using anyone's view. I'm just saying.
So I took it to be
I'm
your
saying
view.
that these are the arguments.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what is your view then?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, thanks for asking me what my view is. Thanks for asking me what my view is.
Because when you're talking, I would think, unless you express that this is someone else's view,
he's
I would
presenting
take
somebody's
it
view.
that it's your view when you're
Well,
talking.
you know what?
No, he's
You know what? Let's play this back later, and I would love to see at any point, where I said this is my view instead of saying, well, this is the argument that this guy said, and this argument that guy
It does
said.
not need to be said. If you want to say it's someone else's view, then you say that up front. Generally, I take it whenever someone says...
Which I did.
He did.
Which I did.
Right, I'll just say this.
Every time I did.
No, the way he would start, he would go, Rio Ferdinand said, and then I think what Justin was going to do, he was going to let everyone feel, he was going to present the points, then he's going to go, well, my opinion. After present,
exactly.
You didn't even let him finish
because
his
the idea is
you're
that
shooting down Rio Ferdinand.
Yeah,
no,
because the idea is like,
but if you unless you say Rio Ferdinand again, I think the next sentence you will say, I would just take it as that's the default position.
No.
Ari, please. Well, it's hard for me to do that when I keep getting interrupted.
Yeah, exactly. True. All right, that's true.
I wouldn't go there. Okay, fine.
I mean, listen back to it. Listen back to it.
Please.
Listen back to it.
The stage is yours. Please go for your life.
Listen back to it.
Okay, now since we got my view and Harry's view, let's close out with Justin's view, and then we'll talk about the game real quick. And then we'll talk about Liverpool Man City. All right, are we ready? Are we game for that, boys?
So my view is actually a very non-controversial view.
Okay.
In the sense that...
don't tune out, listeners, please.
My view is very non-controversial in the sense that, look, there's both sides to blame, right? At the end of the day, Mourinho has to take some blame for, first of all, United playing the way that they play. At the end of the day, the players that go on the pitch and the way they play is 100% Mourinho. Like Ed Woodward's not there saying these players should play, these players shouldn't play, these are the tactics that you employ. So Mourinho has to take some responsibility for the way the team is playing and the results they're getting. That's for sure.
Who takes majority of the blame?
He hasn't finished his point.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. The board as well, though, has to take some responsibility in the sense that I don't agree with the argument necessarily the argument necessarily that the board should just back him regardless because he's throwing money and these players have failed and so they should just throw money until he gets the right place. I don't necessarily agree with the argument. I think there is some there should be some sort of check and balance, right? You spend this much money and these players have not performed. Why should we trust you again in the market? I generally agree with that view, but I also agree with the view where particularly this summer, when he's been offered the contract to 2020, he didn't ask for it. He got offered the contract. He signed it. And from the start...
Do you know why? Just my guess is he doesn't... You don't want to make him a lame duck. That's my guess.
Yeah, it could be. Or they just offered him a lot of money, which he said they did.
I mean, but regardless, right? They offered him the contract, right? He signed it. And at the start of the window, before the World Cup, he said, we need a new defender. We need a central defender. And I find it quite... I'm just not sure how that conversation goes, right? Because it's like, hey, you finished, you did well. You won us 3 trophies last season. Here's a new contract. And before you sign it...
But okay, fine.
Well, physically there are 3 trophies.
Technically 3 trophies.
Yeah,
all right.
but anyway...
Not the big ones, but okay, fine. It's progress, but it's not...
Harry is just a Man United
goddamn,
hater.
it's 3 trophies. Is it not?
What, are you talking about the Community Shield as a trophy? Is that what you're counting?
It's physical trophy.
Oh, stop it.
Get
out of here.
Okay,
yo, this is the same shit about how hey man, Collingwood lost. No, they didn't. It's the same shit.
No. Actually, play it back because we can cut this out if you want. Play it back. I did not say. I only answered your question, which I thought was a nuanced question. But your question was all about whether I ultimately got right or wrong. I took it. Okay. Anyway,
before we move on, I think instead of watching Conor McGregor fight Khabib 2, we should start Justin Yeo versus Harry Hong.
Okay.
That should be great.
It's a separate... I don't view that's three...
Okay, anyways.
Okay, regardless.
Let him finish.
One trophy, 2, whatever, right? They've gone, hey, here's a new contract. And he's gone, okay, by the way, just since I haven't made a board, I need some new defenders. They've gone, no. I find it hard to sort of put together how that conversation works, where they back him with the contract,
I agree with you.
Where they back him with the contract, but they don't back him in the window for this specific window. Sorry, you go.
Okay, I understand on the surface it looks incongruous, right? Like you did this on one hand, you did that on one hand, on the other hand. But you got to read between the lines. The way I read the contract extension is this: you don't want a lame duck manager, because then all of the question you're actually putting more pressure on him, because all the media is going to go to him. Oh, you're out of contract. What's going to happen at the end of the season? That is all that's going to be talked about.
But there's a counter argument that he could be like performing even better for that new contract, right?
Wait, can I
it's
ask,
less about the money. It's more about.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yep.
When was his previous contract supposed to expire? I actually don't know that.
At the end of this
19,
year. So
19,
at the end of this season.
Then he got a one year extension.
And you know what happens when the media goes into when it's going to build? You can sort of, it's happened all the time. You had a contract like this. What's going to happen? That's going to take center stage as the season progresses.
Yeah.
And some of the players might get emboldened. Oh, you're not going to be around. You're going to be a lame duck. So they're actually trying to do the best they can. This happens in all sports where you just don't want a lame duck manager. So they've extended it just so they can avoid that. It's not necessarily a support. It's whatever money it was to them, it's worth the price. Even if they were to get rid of him this year, at the end of this year. That's the way I read it.
Okay.
So it's not a support of, hey, you're doing a fine job. It's just that we don't want there to be a situation where the media is going to hound you all the time about being out of contract.
No, I agree with this, but what I'll say to that is, do you not think that at the time that they're negotiating the contract,
they wanted to keep him?
Or rather that Mourinho has asked, hey, are you going to back me, or am I going to get some funds in the summer, or what's my transfer budget in the summer or something?
Yeah.
Surely that conversation comes up in the contract negotiations.
Yeah, I think...
Well, the fact that Mourinho accepted it meant that he took it.
Well, it means one or two... No, but it means one or two things, right? Where either A, the board have said no and he's took it anyway, or B, where the board have said yes and they haven't done it.
It could actually be separate. Like the board just don't want... I completely understand why the board... Do you understand why the board did... If it was just only to extend it so it doesn't become a lame duck, I don't know how much it was. To them, it was worth it. So that's what they did, independent of whether, hey, we support you, we don't support you. Because I don't think them supporting him is changed by the fact that they've extended. That's the point I'm trying to make.
But the fact to sign the contract, Mourinho is the one that needs to sign the contract.
But he did sign a contract.
Yeah, so what I'm saying, my point is still stands, right? So one of two things happened. Either A, they've gone, we're not going to back you in the transfer market, and he said, all right, that's fine, I'm going to sign anyway. Or B, they said, yes, I'm going to back you in the transfer market, and he signed, and they've gone back on whatever.
Well, you've assumed that those two things happened in the one conversation. I don't know if he did or didn't. I don't know.
You're right.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
But
The
you would
logical,
expect. You would expect that to be what's happened.
I don't necessarily expect it. I just say, hey, let's get this done, and whatever the transfer thing is, you bring a name to us, and we'll, as it always is, we'll approve it or we won't approve it. Right?
I'm pretty sure before the season ended last year, they said, the funds are available for this coming transfer window.
Yep.
And then at the very start before the transfer window, before we even signed any players, I gave him my list already. As soon as the season ended, I wanted, 4 or 5 players, right?
Yeah, 4 or 5. It did.
And they only got him 3. And
they got him Fred. Who else?
They got him Fred, Lee Grant, the keeper, and Diego Dalot. So the only big signing was Fred.
Okay.
So
could it be that they've just done it on a case-by-case basis? Because ultimately, this is what happens, right? The
it would
manager
be a
submits
case by
a
case.
list,
I approve.
and then it's approved or disapproved.
Yeah.
So in this case, they feel like the defenders...
the other player was Perisic, I'm pretty sure. Perisic was the...
Oh, yeah, there was so much talk about Perisic,
Yeah.
right?
So
Yeah,
I read that
you're
somewhere.
They tried again
you're
last year, but then they tried again this year again.
Yeah.
Again, they did. But then,
I
okay,
remember reading
what
that.
the news... The most consistent news that came out, the reason why they didn't get the defender is because the defender that he wanted won't sell shirts, not commercially viable, right? Like, they were trying to get, like, Harry Maguire. Like, the board had different picks from Mourinho picks.
What I heard about the board not buying the defenders was that they thought that they were overpriced. Because
They're
obviously Harry
overpriced.
Maguire was coming off a good World Cup.
Yeah, so, and he's commercially viable, kind of, because he's English.
Is he, though?
I don't know. I don't like...
I actually
I
don't think
it's
he is.
I don't think it's
I actually
commercially
don't think he
viable
is.
at all.
I don't think he is.
Yeah.
But I think the board thought of...
It was
because he
overpriced after
he was
World
an
Cup.
England hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
England hero.
so I think that they thought he was overpriced. Out of viral was the other name that came out.
I think that was Mourinho's pick, but then out of viral...
And then they thought he was overpriced as well, because it was towards the late part of the window.
And I think it was 60 mil, but apparently they didn't want to sign him because he was old and overpriced for that age.
I think it was he's 30 now, isn't he?
30,
I think he was 29 at the time. He's 30 now, I think.
Yeah, so it goes to this. I think this is how it kind of played out. Mourinho was like, I want a central defender. I want this guy. And then Edward was like, oh, he's 30 and is this price. How about you get this guy instead? Obviously, Mourinho was like, you're not getting my guy.
But who's the guy instead, though?
Okay. Like, I think Maguire was...
No, but Maguire was... Because the quoted prices for Maguire in the media was like...
70.
Maybe, was it 70?
It was 70.
I saw 100. Maybe it was 100 in a different currency.
It was 70. It was 70 million. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was dollars. 70 million.
Man, I sure as hell would not buy Harry Maguire, though, to be honest.
I'm sorry. No offense. All right, okay, anyways.
He had a good World Cup.
It's a big unit, though.
Okay, let's move on from this. At the end of the day, I think we generally agree with that. Obviously, we disagree in terms... We agree in a sense that where Mourinho deserves to shoulder most of the blame. All right? The board deserves a bit of the blame as well. Obviously, that percentage differs between you two, but I don't really care about that. Let's talk about the match, all right? Let's talk about the Newcastle match. What does that mean? What does the game result mean? Does it mean anything, Harry?
It means we're going to have 6 to 8 weeks of Mourinho, what's going to happen in United, going to be at the forefront of all the headlines. That's what it means.
Okay.
Here's a better question.
6 to 8 weeks.
No, here's a better question. Does this result actually change what people think will happen?
I don't think so. It's just a small feel good moment in the grand scheme of things. I think.
It's
especially it's the way they won. Imagine if United won 1-0. They scored the first goal.
The first goal in the 5th minute, and it's just like freaking defending all the way until 90th.
But imagine if he had lost 3-0. I think it's a possibility that he could have gotten sacked. No?
Yeah, could have.
I think,
could have.
I think it's a possibility.
Yeah.
So okay, we all agree.
I think it doesn't change.
Doesn't really change anything, right?
Well,
so we have to
what do
see
you mean
more.
it doesn't? The last 20 minutes could have changed something. No, if it ended the way it was 2-0 or 3-0, he could. You just admitted he could have got sacked.
Harry,
right?
Listen, I said, does it change anything from what we thought was going to happen?
To Mourinho.
Last week, I said, I think Mourinho, push comes to shove, Mourinho will probably go.
Yeah.
I think even with this result, that will still happen.
It doesn't save him till the end of the season.
That's what I'm asking.
Okay, right.
All right. So, how does Mourinho change the expectation that he might go to he will stay? How do we change? Huh?
Results.
Yeah.
Results.
I agree with that.
Okay.
It's all about the results.
How many? What if he starts? What if he qualifies for Champions League?
Okay.
Beats Chelsea and makes. Okay. What's the minimum result for him to stay? You reckon? I think that's the easiest.
I think realistically, you need 6 points against Bournemouth and
no. At the end of the season, let's go end of season. What must he?
I don't even know if it's gonna last.
No,
the end
but
of
what
the
must
season.
he accomplish?
Top 4, I would say.
Top 4? I think so. I think.
So he needs 6 points from Bournemouth and Everton. Because I think realistically...
Oh, you really thought that far ahead.
There's 6 games in the next pod.
Yeah.
Okay? Chelsea, the way
Chelsea.
they're going, you don't expect... I don't think the blame will lie with him if you don't
get a result.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I agree.
Same as Juventus.
Yep.
But then the 2 games in between, Everton and Bournemouth.
Yeah.
These you need 6 points. Now, if you get 1 point against Chelsea, then you could get away with a draw one of those 2 matches.
Or surprise.
And then afterwards, it's going to be Juventus and Man City, where you're probably not going to pick up points.
Okay, what if he picks up points against all these teams? Will the outlook change? Will the outlook
absolutely, but that's very unlikely. So that's why I say
boom. All right, let's
need
move on.
6 points against those 2 mid-tier teams out of the next 6 matches.
All right.
Because then that's another international break. I think that's we take it break by break, and then it's going to be the Seville. Is it Seville or Valencia?
Valencia
in December.
Valencia.
So that's also going to be if they don't make it, I think he could also go.
Actually, what I'm most interested in the next game, actually, not even looking forward to the Champions League game or whatever.
I take it game by game basis.
Yeah, exactly. Like United fans now are just like freaking looking one game at a time. But actually, what I want to see, right, is really how the players play.
Yeah,
that's what I care about, because it's very easy to draw a story from the Newcastle game, right?
Yeah,
in terms
of course.
The players I've read things where they said, the players finally played for their manager. I don't agree with that narrative.
Dude, I
don't agree with that
article.
narrative.
Mourinho tapped into the united energy of old.
Yeah,
He's
I don't
back.
agree into that narrative. I don't agree with that narrative at all.
Screw all you naysayers.
It's too knee-jerk.
Yeah,
it's too knee-jerk.
it's too fair. It's too fairy tale,
And
right?
yeah,
It's too fairy tale.
It's that we're caught in that
Yeah.
fairy tale moment
But then,
last minute.
but then you know there's this idea of like the players like for whatever reason clicked in like something clicked for them.
Yeah.
I don't know what their motivations are. I don't know.
Could be anything.
Yeah, exactly. It could be anything.
It could be a slice of luck that gave them a belief. Oh shit, we scored one.
Exactly.
We scored another.
Could be
Exactly.
desperation.
Could be. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be desperation. Could be, you know, as naive as it sounds, like professional pride.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But the thing is, so then, are the players going to carry this on into the next game,
Yeah.
right? Or will it become the same thing again? And
Yeah,
I think the one story that's coming out of this whole thing, which I think is quite an interesting story, is it draws parallels to the Ferguson game
Okay.
where he was almost fired
Okay. Oh, you mean
and that guy
back,
scored, right?
Yeah.
I forgot Albert Brooks or something. Isn't it?
Yeah. It's the start. It's the start.
Yeah.
Apparently the start. Yeah.
I'm not
convinced.
I'm not 14, so I don't believe in fairy tales. But
I still
maybe
do.
it could be. But my
Dude.
thoughts are it probably won't.
You're a
You
Swiftie,
won't.
dude. You should be all about those fairy tales.
I don't think. First of all, the world's changed. Back then, I don't know when it was. Was it 1989? I want to
Yeah,
say.
it's the late
Yeah.
80s.
It is.
It wasn't even the Premier League.
Yeah, the pressure
Right?
the pressure was different as well.
Yeah.
Like
now you have Man City across town, right? Sheikh
Yeah.
Mansour. You know, now you've got you've got Man City,
Let's just say there's
Liverpool,
more money at stake.
more money at stake. It's
Yeah.
completely changed. So
Yeah.
so
and I think now because there's so many more eyes as well in the game.
That
there's
too.
so many more opinions.
Yeah.
There's so much more, like you said. There's so much
And
more
different
money.
board.
result-
Like
no,
the
it's a
pressures,
different
punishment
board,
hounds
different
you.
owner.
the
Hounds you
pressures
all
are
the
so
time.
different. So
Yeah.
there's just so
yeah,
many
that's
variables.
that's why I don't believe
Yeah.
in the fairy tale. But
I believe.
you know,
All right, let's go. I believe. All right, let's end with Peter Fu believes. All right, let's talk about the Liverpool Man City game draw. Who deserved it? Who deserved to win that game? Or was it, or
I'm going to
was
say
it a
this
deserved draw?
desert's got nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, but
Who cares?
who should have won? Who played better?
Doesn't matter, does
I
it?
care. Okay, me and Justin care. You can sit down.
I think draw was a fair result. My draw was a fair result. I think they both didn't play.
I think City like looked more likely if you had to pick one, right?
Yeah, if I had to
Gun to
pick
head.
one,
Well, they
I'd
came
say
closer
I'd s-
by virtue of getting a penalty, which is
Yeah.
a 75% success rate.
Yeah,
Right?
But I mean, like just watching the type of chances, I thought
Yeah, but I think coming out of the game,
City.
you know, once the game was all said and done, I think most people sort of agreed a draw was.
A
I
draw
think
was-
even the managers, I think,
Yeah.
were
Klopp
quite
was
like,
like,
you know, yeah.
You don't go by that. Let me ask you this. If or whoever it is who scored the penalty, if it was 1-0 Man City, do you think that would have been fair?
I think
I
most,
would've-
I
I
think
would've
most people would
accepted,
also
yeah.
have said
Yeah.
like that's probably a fair result.
Okay,
Yeah.
so which one is it? Is it fair to be a draw? Is it fair to be a City win?
So I guess that's how close the game was, right? In
Yeah, that's
terms
how
of-
close the game.
How close the game was? Well, hold on. If it's fair to be a draw versus a fair to be a City, that's not consistent.
I mean, you wouldn't begrudge City to win. You wouldn't begrudge the draw.
Okay,
That's
so
a game of football. by the
So
way.
no, I know, but you're talking about what's fair. So are you saying that City shaded it? City had slightly more play.
I think so.
Like if Liverpool had won, then you probably think it wasn't fair.
Yeah, I
Right?
thought it more lean towards a draw. That's me. I don't know.
More leaning
the
towards a draw, or
technical-
more leaning towards a
No,
City
if,
win.
If Liverpool won, I was like, if Liverpool nicked it 1-0, I'd be like, oh, City played
That's right.
better.
But-
It should
but-
have been more likely to be in a draw.
Okay,
like,
so
because
is it a
Liverpool
draw? Is
scored
it closer to a draw? Or is it closer to a Man City win?
closer to Man City win? in my
Okay, so
opinion.
it's actually not a fair result, that draw. Correct?
yeah, if you want to bring it like that.
Well,
like
I am
that. But
bringing it
I'm,
like that.
I'm not. It's not far off from a draw. you know
Right,
what I
okay,
mean?
so City
That's what I'm
shaded
trying
it.
to
They
say.
didn't dominate, but
They
1-0
shaded
could be just a shade.
Yeah, but you
One
know,
mistake.
You know the difficulty of scoring a goal, right? Like,
Yeah, you
so
take
they
your
just
chances.
didn't have that 1% on the day, if you want to say it.
Right, it
Put
wasn't
in.
because of Liverpool, because Liverpool did make that one mistake, the Van Dijk mistake.
Yeah, the Van Dijk mistake. Yeah.
Right? But they weren't punished, fortunately for
Yeah.
them. So, yeah.
And the penalty as well. So they didn't. They missed that 75% chance of putting.
Which happens 25% of the time, going by that
Yeah.
percentage, right? That happens. It's like
So-
a missed free throw. Happens.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. So that was. So who's gonna win the title based on this game? Can you tell?
Why don't we talk about the penalty?
Yeah.
Alright. Okay. Do y'all think Gabriel Jesus should have taken it?
I think it's quite interesting that what Guardiola did actually.
What?
I'm pretty surprised that happened actually.
That he apologized?
Well, Actually, yeah. Now they mentioned it, both. Like the first thing that he took it off Gabriel Jesus and gave it to Riyad Mahrez. The second that he came out publicly and apologized.
But I think Riyad Mahrez does have a pretty okay penalty conversion rate.
It's not great.
Nah, it's 50% for the last 4 penalties.
I'm not sure he took it off Jesus so much as Jesus thought he's the guy.
Yeah.
And he just was there.
But Jesus isn't the guy. He had 3 penalty shootouts.
He missed 2.
He missed 2. He put one in early.
So this is one of those...
The best one should have been Gundogan, right? Like, if you've done your research. Gundogan has the highest conversion rate,
this is one
80%.
of those incidents when I think the top 3 penalty takers, designated penalty takers, went on the pitch. Right?
Yeah.
One was Aguero.
2 was 1, De Bruyne.
2 was Gundogan. He's injured. And I think 3 would have been De Bruyne.
And Silva. Silva should be...
David Silva hardly takes... He took only 1, if I read that correctly, ever. Or certainly in the EPL.
Wasn't Silva the penalty taker last year or something? The year before?
No, it was
I remember him
Aguero.
taking penalties.
No, but Silva does take penalties. But
I don't think so. He
okay,
only took
I read
1.
an article
He
on
only
pitch.
took 1.
Basically, the guy with the highest percentage on the pitch would have been... No, Gundogan was playing, wasn't he?
He wasn't. He's injured. Okay, so the top 3 designated penalty takers weren't on the pitch.
Yep.
Now, I don't think... Because you're planning, you're preparing for Liverpool, you're coming up with some sort of tactical strategy. You probably didn't think that far to say, who's going to be, the 4th or the 5th.
Yeah,
so
of course
that's
not.
understandable.
Yeah.
One more thing, though.
Now, Jesus might have thought that, hey, I'm the centre forward, I'm going to take it. And I think Guardiola said, wait a minute, I actually think, now that I come to think of it, I actually want Mahrez to take it. So there's nothing wrong, I suppose, I don't think. He just perhaps put a bit more pressure on Mahrez because... it didn't, like Guardiola did not sort of tell everyone beforehand. That's all.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, but basically, like, Pep took it off Gabriel Jesus. That's what happened.
Yeah,
and Mahrez missed, and it was and Pep came out and
very
said that
fucking bad miss. So many memes.
the thing about penalty. Okay,
Happens.
I don't know if I'm in the minority here. But you know what I hate? I hate it when people miss a penalty, and someone goes, "Oh yeah, it was a bad penalty." Not every missed penalty is a bad penalty. Sometimes you just miss.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But that was a...
Yeah, I agree in the sense that you should hit the target, but yeah, okay, fine. But that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
I know it happens.
And I bring up my beef with Alan Shearer again. Every time a penalty is missed, whether goalie saves or is missed, he always says, "Oh yeah, that was a bad penalty."
But not everyone's Aaron Shearer.
I hate
Yeah,
that shit.
yeah. Look, I don't think
hate
Alan
that
Shearer
shit.
is a good punter. He doesn't have empathy.
Yeah.
The way I see it.
But he's a legendary goal scorer. He doesn't need to.
I don't know why he's on TV.
He has a legendary celebration.
Okay, that's fine. but yeah, well, I don't listen. I would never invoke Alan Shearer on anything really. To me,
Yeah, but how many times have you heard like people say like whoever it is, it's not Alan Shearer. I only bring it out because I have this thing against it. But
no,
like,
I'm with you. I'm with you. But I just choose to
What if
ignore
he
it.
played for United? What if he had played for United instead of Newcastle, and he banged them all them goals?
That shouldn't matter, right?
I mean,
you can
but
still
he
be a
didn't,
terrible
though.
pundit with a
Yeah,
favorite player.
He didn't though. He didn't play for
Sad
United
days.
though.
So close.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It was
Okay.
close. But it
Okay, then
happened.
let's talk about Liverpool's front three. What's happening with Salah? I'll let me.
All right.
speak first.
Why have they gone off?
Huh?
Why have they gone off?
Why have they gone off?
Can you bring up like what's Liverpool's past 5 results? It's not pretty.
I think the one that they expected to win is Napoli, although it was in Napoli.
Yo, but now Insigne played well. Like I watched the game, I was like, wow. Like they struggle. Liverpool struggle. If you
Right. So
just looking at the stats, you don't even have to watch the game. You just look at the stats.
All right.
and
So
go,
their last 4 results, they lost to Napoli, they drew with
they
Chelsea,
beat PSG, which
This
is a
is
big
Chelsea.
one.
they lost to Chelsea in the League Cup. They beat Southampton and they beat PSG. All right.
I'll throw away I'll throw away the League Cup.
Yeah, I agree.
would,
The
yeah.
league, it was 2 second string teams.
So I wouldn't say
No, Chelsea played a first string team. Hazard was playing.
he came on as a sub.
Yeah.
Okay, so those last 5, you can't really say that's terrible. Correct? Like beating PSG is a big win.
I agree.
Yeah.
Southampton, okay, fine. Chelsea, that's
The draw?
that's a good effort.
Yeah, Chelsea
It was away at Stamford at the Bridge. I think the only one you say, okay,
I
they
don't
gave
think-
in a big
Napoli.
goal against
Napoli.
Napoli. If they came up with a draw, that's a victory.
How did Liverpool win in that Chelsea game? The
Sturridge.
league game? Oh yeah. Oh, that was such a good goal, man.
Yeah. That was
Which
a
one,
wonder
Sturridge goal.
wonder
You
goal.
mean the draw?
Yeah, the draw.
You know,
Right.
I was like, they win against Chelsea. Where?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, the draw. Yeah, that was a good goal, man.
Shaggy?
That was
I
a
actually
good-ass
think
goal.
Liverpool.
Dude,
probably-
Hazard's goal is better. I think Hazard's goal was
Hazard goal.
better.
I mean, put it this way: both goals were really good.
Which
in that
which
game.
one? Are you talking
Both
about the
goals
Hazard
were
goal
really
in the league game or the League Cup?
The League Cup.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I agree with that.
If you play
had
soccer
50
to
pi-
split,
He had
the
50
defender
touches,
like that,
whereas Sturridge is a one-touch thing. So it's more. We're going to go back to this. It's more of a fluke, right?
how about you play soccer and you try Hazard's thing?
No,
Like,
I agree with you that Hazard's better because he had 50 touches.
Okay, all right.
Thereabout. It's hard to fluke 50 touches, right?
they're both good goals. They're
Yeah,
both
I
good
agree.
goals. All right, shall we move on?
No, hold on.
Okay, why the front three?
I'm not sure if
All
it's
of them?
if it's the front three that's gone off or if it's Liverpool just sort of reverting to mean, if you know what I mean.
Okay,
'Cause
That last year
Stu-
was an exception.
No,
Exception.
I don't think last year was an exception. I think Liverpool are a very good team. But do you remember like the first episode that we did?
Yep.
And I know it's not up, but do you remember the first episode? And remember you and I were talking, and we're talking about the Champions League
Yep.
and who are the favorites to win it.
Yep.
Remember you said Liverpool
Yeah.
and Man City,
Yep.
and then
I still think they are after
the-
Barcelona hasn't been performing.
yeah. But then the week after, no, and then I sort of, and then the results came out, right? And then I sort of said, well, I can understand why people put Liverpool up there, but let's also remember like Liverpool look really good now because they're winning,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And now they're starting to, I guess, in my eyes, they're starting to revert to mean
Yeah.
in terms of like they're just playing like how I would expect them to. Where
Okay.
don't get me wrong, they're still a really good team, but I don't think that they are going to win the league. I don't think that they're going to win the Champions League. And then all of a sudden, because you have that yardstick from the first few games of the season where they were
Yes.
killing everyone,
Yeah.
and the way they were playing was amazing, and it's people are like, oh, something's gone wrong with Liverpool. I don't think so. Like, I
don't think so.
I think it's more along the lines of Liverpool are probably playing to where
Their standard.
where people would expect them to. Although I've heard this argument where people said that the front three are off because of the World Cup.
I think okay. For me watching, I think Firmino and Mane, they look okay. They're obviously not top form, but they look like, for example, in my eyes, I think they're good enough. But Salah looks off. Salah looks off.
But he was never I don't think you can really expect him to hit the heights of last season again, though.
Yeah, I'm not expecting, but like he should be a bit better.
Yeah.
A bit better.
I agree with that.
And I'll tell you why. Like I had the same injury he's had.
Yeah.
Are you putting yourself in the same sentence as?
No, not even close. But I know the injury, like how it affects you. Like your shoulder. I bet you, right? If a defender like really wants to hurt Salah, all they have to do is just tug on their arm,
Yeah.
and it will dislocate.
I agree.
Because he didn't do a shoulder. He didn't do a reco. He didn't do a reconstruction.
And it was also his first dislocation.
First dislocation as
Yeah,
well. Yeah.
yeah.
And he did a reconstruction, and they forced him to come back to play for Egypt.
Yeah. Yep. And he wasn't. You could tell he
You
wasn't
could tell
fit in
he
the
was
World
so
Cup.
off.
Yeah.
And when they bumped his shoulder, I saw there was one tackle where he was on the ground and he was feeling his shoulder. I know.
You're talking about
I'm talking
against
about Salah.
City?
No,
City?
for Egypt. For Egypt,
Oh,
the World
right.
Cup.
Yeah.
Right
Okay.
now, it looks okay because he's had time to strengthen it. But I bet you, because they didn't give him the time he needed to properly reconstruct it, I bet you he'll dislocate it one time. Maybe not this year, but next year, and
Yeah.
he will
actually, I
do a
wouldn't be surprised.
reconstruction.
Because it will never be
The same.
as strong again.
Yeah.
Especially after your first one. Yeah.
And there's also a psychological thing, like, oh, should I tackle like this or should I go as hard? Last season, you see him running hard, running through. Sometimes the defender will clip him, but he's so fast, he'll pick himself up and still get there. This season, you see him like, I don't know, there's a bit of like a hesitant or like less intensity. But anyways, okay, Harry.
Yeah, I agree with all of your points in that sense that maybe he could be, injury scarred about the injury, about the shoulder. But from what I saw, both against Chelsea and against Man City, it was less about him dribbling because he dribbled okay. It was more about his finishing, and it didn't come anywhere close to what we saw last year.
Yep.
I'm not sure that had much to do with it, and so to maybe it's just confidence.
Yeah, I think
it
it's
could just be
confidence.
touch. And I do agree with Peter how I didn't expect him to hit the heights necessarily, but I sort of reasonably expected him to be about, let's say, 80% of what he was last year. But instead, I think it's tracking at around 30%. Because if you recall last year, the reason why he had such a great season was because his finishing was spectacular.
Yep.
Yeah.
He hit a goal and he hit top right corner.
Yeah.
Now, you know what he does? He just chips it to the keeper when he's in a scoring position.
Yeah, but I think
and he has had a few.
He's had all of it. And also, I would say another factor is this. I think people also has a season's worth of footage to see his tendencies. And I think some of his passes, which looks crisp, but it's hitting the defender instead of hitting, the gap. So I think defenders are also...
They've learned
his tendencies. But that's okay. It's just his finishing to me is concerning because it's not even close.
So it's the confidence.
Yeah,
I think it's usually confidence.
Thing.
Yeah.
Strikers usually go on confidence.
But can he... Was last year just... Because he never reached... It's an off year, right? In a sense, an exceptional year.
Yeah.
Now you're concerned, is that the exception or is now... Or is that going to be sort of close to what the norm is?
Yeah.
That's something that I'm actually genuinely concerned.
I don't think that's close to
but
like we just said, he's just out of form.
Well, personally, I think that last year, I agree with you. I think last year it was an extraordinary year in the sense that he was probably playing above his potential, so to speak.
Yes.
But I think probably everyone thinks that.
That's right. That's right.
I think, but having said that, if you're going to ask me if I think that this year he's coming more to where his level is at, personally, I don't think so. I think he's probably playing below what his level is at. And I think it's a combination of confidence. Yeah, it's a combination of the injury for last season, probably playing on his mind a bit. It's a combination of maybe you're right, the tendencies. I think it's also the World Cup, the fact that he went to play at the World Cup, even if without the injury.
Perhaps.
I think that because of the way that Liverpool play, it's so physically intensive. Yeah. So if you don't get a good preseason, you don't get a good rest, it probably drains you a bit more. Yeah. But I also think teams, especially the bigger teams, and this comes back to what I said about in week 1 about how maybe Liverpool will sort of get stopped in the Champions League because they're playing against better teams. Yeah. Similar to what you said about teams last year that had a whole season of footage to watch how Salah plays and know his tendencies. I think maybe the bigger teams now have a whole season to see how Liverpool plays. Yeah. And maybe they have an idea of how to play against it.
Yeah, could be.
But I still maintain Liverpool is across the board very strong.
Yeah, I think...
Whereas other teams, Man City, Barcelona, Real Madrid, have weaknesses, bigger weaknesses. Bigger weaknesses.
All right, so let's bring it back to the initial question on week 1, which is, do you think they're
still up there?
They're top 2 to win the Champions League?
Well,
for me it is.
For me it was too. Now, I might have to adjust because if I think, because I evaluated or I had the expectation that they were going to come down. The front three is going to come down a little bit from the sky high, from the heights they hit last year, to say 80%. But again, if you're telling me that Salah is going at 30% or 40%, then I don't think they are.
Yeah, but there's a window, there's a potential.
Yeah, if he gets back up to 70, 80 of last year, or even 65, where he could occasionally score a goal, and as long as Firmino and Mane is also tracking at around about the same, I still think they are one of the 2 favourites. Yeah. So it depends on, to me, Salah.
For me, my opinion doesn't change. I still don't think they want, even if they sort of, come back up, I still don't think they're top 2 for the Champions League.
Okay. My top 2. Let's clarify this in this episode. My top 2 still stands: City, Liverpool. Who's your top 2?
Quickly ask you the reasons.
I just think they're the stronger teams, and after looking at the form of
Who
Madrid
and going to win? They're the strongest teams.
No, they're the stronger teams, and how they're playing the league throughout from the start till now so far. Not just based on the last few games, from the start till now so far. Mm-hmm. I think they've been performing better than, for example, Real Madrid in their league and Barcelona in their league. But obviously you can't compare because the field that Barcelona and Real Madrid play against is much different than the field that Liverpool plays and Man City plays against. And Bayern doesn't look good. There are already rumors about the Kovac.
He got former player. 3-0 at home by some team.
Hertha Berlin is as either Berlin or Frankfurt, but both of those teams are performing well in their respective European competitions. One's in the Europa League and one's in the the Champions League, and they're both doing well.
But it's Bayern Munich.
They're not
Yeah,
contenders.
exactly.
Yeah.
They're both Bayern Munich. There's already rumors about Zinedine Zidane possibly taking up his job. You know,
I mean,
what the
like
fuck?
now every vacancy is going to be linked to Zidane. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, that's besides the point.
Right.
But I think them against the so-called favorites, if you draw up the bookies, I think Liverpool and City have performed better throughout the season so far.
Okay.
Right? So that's my
your rationale is they're just stronger.
yeah.
That's insightful, isn't it?
Okay. No, and I just gave you. I said they've been performing better in their respective leagues
Okay. Yeah.
compared to
Okay.
Barcelona and Real Madrid.
No, I agree with that. I agree with
Even
your-
in the Champions League, I think Barcelona lost to Ajax, right, or something, or did someone lost to Ajax?
Bayern.
Bayern lost. To
Oh,
Ajax.
I think they
my
drew.
days. No, they
Did they
lost.
lose?
They lost.
Okay. Yeah.
Ajax beat a big team. I was like, whoa. Anyways, okay. What about you? Who's your top two? Just pick your top two. Let's go quick.
Well, I go by the process of elimination. I mentioned this briefly. There are 7 what I call top sort of flight teams, right? Top tier teams.
Okay.
Yes, we agree with that.
And you eliminate all of them, and who you're fine.
So I eliminate PSG because they've got a good front three, but nothing else.
Yeah.
I don't think the midfield or back is great.
Thiago Silva not good. Marquinhos not good.
Not great. I eliminate Bayern Munich because their Lewandowski is not an elite forward. Maybe in Germany, but not in Europe. And their midfields, they're getting old, certainly on the wing. Okay, so I eliminate Bayern Munich. They're the weakest of the 7 in my
Lewandowski
mind.
is a great forward. Oh, wait, anyways, keep going.
Really?
Yeah, I love him, dude.
What you love his cooking or you love his play?
Just let the comment go and let's move on.
Let go.
Right.
Let's let go.
And is he being sarcastic or are you actually?
No, I actually love. I love the way he plays.
Really?
Very smart. Very sweet. Very
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 sweet.
classy striker.
Very sweet.
No, look the way he plays. It's just like wow, so easy.
in
so,
Europe, have you?
I mean, like,
yeah,
Peter,
he scores.
he
in
scored
Europe.
like
Okay,
4
anyways, go.
goals.
Peter, I'm cool with you being a fan of a player without it having to be the best player in the world. No,
Okay.
it's true. Like, I'm a fan of players who are not the best in the world, and I don't feel I need to justify me being a fan.
Konchesky, are you a fan of? I'm joking. All right.
Okay, so Juventus, they're coming around because they're fixing up their front 4. They're gelling, but I still have problems with.
They don't know their
defense.
first 11. They don't know
I
their
think they're
first.
getting there.
They're getting there.
They're getting there with Dybala in the 10, Ronaldo and
Mandzukic on the
and
left.
I think Betancourt, someone called Betancourt.
No, Benazdashi.
Someone
Benadashi,
starts
yeah.
with B. Is like
Benadashi.
10 letters.
No, Bentancur is playing good. as well.
Okay, so they're trying to. I
But
think
Benadashi is the forward.
They're starting to
Bentancur is
they're
a
starting to come
defensive
around.
mid.
they're starting to
league as
come
well,
around
yeah.
at the front.
They're still winning, even though
Right.
they don't play well. They still win, which is like a sign
Although
of.
then I wouldn't judge by the Champions League or their
league.
Serie A
Okay.
opposition, the level of opposition.
Okay.
I just worry about the defense.
Okay, we'll see them.
Chiellini
We'll see
and
when they play United.
But
United not a great
Bonucci,
team.
is it Bonucci? Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, like I said, I wouldn't. Right.
They're not a great team, but
Oh god.
So my point is,
Kill me now.
so my point is,
Kill me
Juventus is it has an asterisk because it's started to gel, but I don't trust. And look, maybe all you need to know is they've got Szczesny as a goalkeeper. Maybe that's all you need to know, right?
Okay.
So the defense,
but
I
Szczesny's
question.
not their first choice. They swap it around between him and the
Who's
other
the other
Italian.
guy?
The other
He's been
Italian guy. They
playing.
signed him from Genoa. I'm pretty sure. I remember because I play Juventus on the Football Manager.
Szczesny is their first
He's
choice.
pretty
right?
good.
Szczesny plays in Champions League. Szczesny is
Yeah,
first choice.
I think he's their first
All right.
choice now.
Okay, go anyway.
So you understand? I'm somewhat eliminating Juventus, although I do because Chiellini and I think are they playing Bonucci or one of the Bs? Okay, they're 50 years old, and Szczesny who.
Bazagli.
Yeah,
That's
I'm not sure.
35-year-old man.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if one of the Bs is on the bench, one of the Bs is starting. I'm not exactly sure which one's which.
Bonucci and Chiellini starts in the center of defense.
Right, and
Bazagli
they're
is
getting
the
old.
guy who.
Right,
yeah,
that's my
they're
point. So that's a weakness for me. Barcelona, if you have seen them, PK and some other centre back with Umtiti or Leng, they can't stay on the pitch. And PK's really sort of come down. It was never that high to begin with. I think it was always slightly overrated. But now he's really come down. So I wouldn't trust him. I actually trusted Real Madrid until they've sort of gone off the board. They haven't scored in 4 games. I think partially it's because Marcelo's injured, Isco's
It's
injured.
Ronaldo.
But I'm not sure.
No,
I mean,
no,
obviously Ronaldo's
I'm just trying to bring up like, how much you don't like Ronaldo.
Obviously, Ronaldo it would have been a big help, but I think, and that's the obvious sort of difference. But I think the fact that as a new manager, the fact that
Perin is
Isco,
the other keeper. Sorry, but anyways, continue.
Isco's been injured. Marcelo, who is really good, probably the best attacking left back, injured. Gareth Bale has always been injured. Benzema's out of form. I can't really. That would have been my second team, because they complete all across.
Yeah.
But it makes me look terrible because of what they're doing now. But I might still stick with them as my second team.
Who?
As one of the two teams favourites, because they're still complete, regardless of the recent results notwithstanding. I'm not a big fan of Man City in terms of the Champions League. I'm a big fan of them in the league because they have a much deeper squad, but they have issues in defense.
Okay.
And you can go at them. The centre back pairing is still not quite there, which is why I eliminate them. So the only team remaining standing, other than Real Madrid, is Liverpool, which I find to be complete. Now, the wild card is how Salah does. If he's going to be anywhere close, 60, 65 or above, then I think they have a good shot. If he's going to be below 50 or even, below 50 of what he was tracking last year, then it's up for grabs. Right. So these two teams, to me, are the least flawed.
Just say it.
I just told you. Liverpool and Real Madrid are the two least flawed teams.
All right.
I go by the process of elimination.
Just go pick your two picks.
I think the favorites for me is probably Madrid and Man City.
All right, we got it.
I think we need to devote some time. Just a bit of time, no?
For what?
Why they're your picks?
Are we just picking lottery numbers? Is that what we're doing?
Their highest ratings on FIFA. Enough said.
I think Man City just because they have. I think Pep has a real mandate to win the Champions League this season, and I think he'll put a lot of focus into that. If you look at their team, I think they have a strong team, especially if Company comes back.
Okay.
Madrid, I think that they have the pedigree, and I just have just an innate belief and an idea that they'll, they have their troubles right now, but they'll come around over the course of the season. And Madrid tend to do well in the Champions League, actually, regardless of how they're going in the league.
With a lot of help from refs, but okay, that's another topic.
I don't know what you want to say about that, but I think Man City and Madrid are probably the two my two favorites to win it, and just for the sake of my sanity, I'm hoping it's Madrid.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the NFL. Let's talk about new history maker. Let's talk about Drew Brees.
He did make history. He's became the all-time leader in passing yards. Now, if I were to believe your hint at the preview, what is it? What is your thought? Do you think he's underrated? Is that what your thought is?
I think I'm not going to make a case that he's the greatest of all, with my limited knowledge, but I think from my understanding, I feel like he's obviously not looked at highly enough for or do you not think so? Or do you think he's right? He's rated.
Well, first of all, where do you think he's rated? I actually don't know where sort of the conventional view of him is. From what you say, you tell me, and I feel like I can answer you. On that.
Feel like they always talk about every season it's always about Rodgers versus Brady, but they don't even give. I feel like sometimes they don't even give him a mention until he breaks a record. Oh yeah, let's celebrate Drew Brees here. And then so after they make a playoff, usually they'll get knocked out first round, and then they'll be like, oh okay.
So are you saying? So I think generally the consensus.
I just want to talk about him as an individual player.
But
do you think he's good?
Right. So because of the way they talk about Rodgers and Brady, the consensus is these are the two best.
Yeah.
Correct? Now, the fact you're saying, or some people are saying after the record that he's not talked about, do you think he should be talked about in the top two?
I think it shouldn't just be a top. Maybe the way I look at it is maybe he should be in the conversation. Or do you not agree?
I don't agree. I don't think she's in the top two. I don't think Rodgers and Brady have separated themselves the way, say, Messi and Ronaldo have separated, but they've separated themselves.
Okay.
So if it means that he's not talked about, I don't think it's an injustice.
Is it because he didn't win those Super Bowls? Not enough.
That's
Super
part
Bowls?
of it. That's part of it. But I think why do you think he should be? Is it because he broke this record? Is that what you think? Is that I'm not saying you, but why do people think? Because
people think he should be. I mean, like obviously they don't put him up there, but they think he should be up there in the top 5, maybe top 10 quarterbacks of all time. Do you think he warrants that?
I haven't thought enough about it, but whether all time, but certainly he's not as good as Rodgers or Brady. In his era, I don't think he was as good as Peyton Manning.
Okay.
I think he's probably below that, 4th, which is no great shame.
There's another conversation about that, whether he's better than Peyton. But because Peyton has won, I think, one more Super Bowl than him.
Mm-hmm. Not just that, I think people who watches closely, Peyton commands more of the offense. He's more of an offensive coordinator than Brees is.
Brees is just a pure passer, right?
Yes. And I think he had a lot of help because he he's a great offensive coach. Yeah. Whereas Peyton was his own coach. Yeah. You know, so I happen to not think that he is underrated. If anything, I think he might be even slightly overrated. Because if people think that he is the third best, I don't think he's the third best of this era. I think Peyton is better than Brees. And if people think he's sort of 3 or 4 right now, I don't even think he's great. He might be more beloved in his city than any of these aforementioned quarterbacks like Brady or Rodgers, because they all have the sort of flaws.
There's a bit of a fairy tale story into how he came to
Yes. Partly he's undersized, partly he's a really good guy.
I think that plays a part in it. People like always want to make a point that he's smaller than the conventional
right. So he had to work harder, and he is a genuinely good guy. Whereas you can question.
There's so much things to love about him.
Yes.
Hardworking, he studies hard in his role. If you think about it, he broke the mold that you had to be big.
Yes,
so he paved the way for like people like Russell Wilson, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield was a first-round pick, and you look at his size and you go like,
yes. So
really?
In terms of a trailblazer, he's that. He's
so surely that should add to his cause for being one of the greats. Or do you think
I think it colors people. Like I understand what you're saying. Like because he might have trailblazed. Although it's not a different look, some people trailblaze. If let's say Tiger Woods, right? He trailblazed because he happened like it was something of a much larger sort of significance because of a different. He just looked different. Whereas Drew Brees, okay, you can say he's slightly undersized. That's slightly. It's a bit easier to do what he did than for Tiger or for Serena to do what they did.
Yeah.
Right. But. And largely because it also is because of New Orleans. Yeah. Because of Katrina. Yeah. And he was the face of the Renaissance.
He's the poster boy, yeah.
Yeah, and that's genuine how he's able to help the community. So all because of that, maybe it actually in a way slightly flatters him in the history ranks.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. I think so. I just want to know because you have more you have more knowledge about this. Okay. I just recently followed football 3 years ago, and I started following seriously now.
I'll just go quickly at why I think his numbers slightly flatters him. Yeah. Because right now we're in a passing era. Yeah. Whereas 20 years ago, people were running a lot more. Yeah. But now the rules have changed
in his favor.
In his favor. Now he still happens to be setting records even in this era. Like he still
and he will continue to
take
more. He would take Peyton Manning's TD record, I think.
Right.
Yeah,
so
definitely,
part of the reason why he's breaking all these records is the era, but part of it is also because of the team that he's on. They are an offensive focused team. Yeah. Whereas if you look at Brady or Rodgers or Manning, maybe not Manning, but certainly Brady and Rodgers, they spend more not proportionate, but they spend less of their money on offense. Yeah. Also, let's put it.
They don't go for the
Brees' team, who's an offensive-minded coach, who's coached by offensive-minded coach, Sean Payton. Yeah. He's an offensive genius, and so obviously he has final say in who he gets, and he's spending because look, the NFL has a hard cap. Yeah. You only have a certain amount of money to spend on your team, and you can choose whether to spend more of your money on offense or defense. And New Orleans have chosen to go the offensive route. So because of that, he's able to get Brees has more weapons. He has more protection. He has more weapons. So that plays into his hands. He's got more tools to build up his numbers. And secondarily, his defense is not as good. So therefore, his team gives up more points the other way. So therefore, that prompts him to want to even catch up, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes his team is always behind because he's got a woeful deal. That also adds to his numbers.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay.
So a lot of times, if you just look at, so I have the passing stats for Brees. If you look at the record of the 3 years between 2014 and 2016, it's not very good, right? 7-9, 7-8, 7-9.
Yeah,
that's the record.
Yeah.
And you see, he led the league in passing yards.
Yeah.
So that signals to me that
a lot of passing
yards, but not a lot of wins. So he's trailing. When you're trailing, you tend to pass more.
Yeah.
Right? Because you need to catch up.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're already ahead, you want to salt away the game. So you run down the clock. So this isn't anything against Brees so much as you have to add some context to what the stats mean. And there's another page with the sack rate. Go to the sack rate. Sack percentage. That's a proxy for how good your offensive line is.
Yeah.
Your offensive line is generally to pass protect and to create holes. But this is more of a proxy for pass protection.
Yeah.
And if you look at the active leaders...
He doesn't get touched.
He hardly gets touched. He's the best. So that it's not a perfect measure, but it tells me that his offensive line protects him better than other teams. If you just look at... Okay, Brady is good. Brady's at 4.8, 4.9.
Yeah.
That means he's also pretty good. But if you look at some other quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, he's 21st in the active. So that means his offensive line isn't good at all.
Man, you got to give him that protection, man.
Yeah, and despite that, he's still able to do as good as... He's still able to win as much as he has. That's a testament to him, not to his coaching or his line. And if you look at Russell Wilson, it's even worse.
Oh, but Russell Wilson's having a terrible season this season.
Well, terrible season in the sense that he's still not getting weapons, and his defense is also terrible.
Yeah, trash.
So, I would make the argument that beyond Rodgers and Brady, right now, I would say Russell Wilson is slightly better than Brees. I would say Patrick Mahomes is slightly better. He's certainly projecting to be.
Yeah, he's projected.
Okay, but right now he's still... if I had one season, take age out, I think Mahomes is slightly better. And I also think Carson Wentz, even though he's coming back from injury, I would say he's slightly better than Brees because as good as Brees is, I don't think... First of all, he's not necessarily that mobile, so that sort of takes away a secondary...
I know what you're looking... You're looking at the overall package.
Overall package, not just the throw, even though he's the most accurate.
Drew Brees is just basically the best passing machine with no legs.
But passing is only one facet. It's an important facet. The most important, perhaps. But it's only one facet.
Yeah.
Just like being a basketball player, shooting is only one facet.
Yeah.
Right? Ray Allen's a better shooter than LeBron James. No one's saying he would be a better player. Right?
Yeah.
So passing is probably more important facet, but there is also passing on
Brady?
crucial downs.
Okay, what's Brady's skill set?
Brady is probably maybe not a pure passer, but he's a better reader. You have to read defense. You have to. That's called something called the clutchness, where I think Brady is the best clutch time third down. He
gets the ball when it needs to be.
When he needs to be in the crucial situation, his heart rate doesn't kick into overdrive where you might be slightly off, in a crucial situation.
So if we swap Drew Brees and Tom Brady, and Drew Brees got the benefit of the Belichick system, would he have won?
Not as many. And if Brady was in New Orleans,
he might want to. One more?
It's different because you build your team around the quarterback's skill set, right? So in other words, you know that Russell Wilson is mobile. You know that Aaron Rodgers is mobile. So you sometimes maybe that's why the Packers don't invest a lot of money on protecting him. But in actual fact, you do need to protect him, even though if he's mobile, because he's still getting sacked a lot more, even for a more mobile quarterback. But it's hard to sort of just slot someone in because teams make decisions based on your skills, based on your assets, or on your features, correct? But in a general point of view, I think Brees would have done worse in New England, and Brady would have done better in New Orleans, slightly.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that he's not great. That doesn't mean that Brees isn't great. He's still probably 5 or 6, you know, somewhere in that ranking. That's not to slight him.
Well,
or
but
anything.
when he retires, if someone puts him in the top 10 of all time, would you disagree? Like,
I wouldn't disagree. I'll have to think about it, but he's around about that sort of
that range, right?
9 to 14, somewhere there.
Okay.
So
right.
yeah. But I think we get carried away.
I don't have enough knowledge to
but I just think we are too numbers obsessed. So
Yeah,
because
yeah,
he's
of
got
course.
so we get carried away. Oh, why isn't he there with the top 2? And I think because of just the recency bias that he's done all this, he looks fantastic. But I think he is, if anything, slightly overrated. That's all.
One more question. This
Yes.
is a quick prediction. Obviously, you can give us a bit of a nuanced argument.
Okay.
LA Rams and Chiefs, both, and the Kansas City Chiefs, both so far on
Undefeated.
record. Yeah.
Yep.
If I like, obviously for them to go undefeated, it's very unlikely. But which one is more likely?
They will be playing each other.
Yeah,
at a
week
game.
11. Yeah,
in Mexico City. So
if theoretically one of them will be unbeaten, who would be more likely? As in, so essentially, which team looks better?
Well, there's a nuance in that. Who do you play? See, Kansas City is going to play New England next year.
Yeah, New England next.
That's going to be
and they look good
game
from
of
the
the
last
season, game of the season so far. So I don't know because Kansas City could
just
easily lose.
Theoretically, if they're unbeaten, they will beat every other team. But week 11 is the only game where one team will lose.
See, I would have to favor Rams if nothing else because Chiefs are going to play New England, and New England, even though they had some wobbles to begin with, now they're getting into gear.
Yeah, getting into gear.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is actually at New England, correct?
Yeah.
And this is a primetime game, so I would think that New England would want to send a message.
Yeah,
so
I think so too.
Just by virtue of playing New England, whereas I don't think the Rams will be playing New England.
Yeah,
the chances of who's going to have a better chance of going unbeaten, it's going to be the Rams. Just by virtue of the fact that they don't play the Patriots.
Yeah, but
right?
if you forget, okay, just say if.
So you're asking who's the better team?
The Chiefs, yeah.
I think with the limited knowledge I know, the Rams have a better defense than the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But the Chiefs may have perhaps the all-time great quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. He's got everything. I don't want to get too carried away, but he's got everything. He's got a gun of an arm. He has mobility. So he's Aaron Rodgers with slightly better athleticism, with slightly a stronger arm. But obviously, Rodgers is a pro. I mean, he's not, he knows the defense. So it depends on how he progresses.
We'll
but Mahomes has the ceiling to be the greatest.
Yeah.
He has a ceiling. But
from what I've seen.
But we get fooled into thinking that someone's going to fulfill that ceiling. It's very unlikely that they're going to fulfill all their skills and all their attributes, So let's just not get too carried away. That's what I'll say.
All right, let's close that out. So you'd say the Rams will look a lot more likely. I agree.
I think the more complete team.
More complete team.
Yeah.
Agree. Right, let's move on to.
Let's bring Justin back in.
Let's bring.
Hi, I'm back.
Sitting down playing my dog with my Doge.
Nah, man, I'm letting Haley sleep. I wish I was her.
All right. Okay, let's start closing it out. Let's talk about the biggest event that happened on Sunday, besides Justin sleep that time. The Conor versus Khabib. Actually, let's talk about UFC. The fight before that fight. The fight. Let's talk about Derek Lewis against. Was it Volkov?
I don't know. All I know is that I saw the counter punch. I saw him win. I saw the interview. It's a good interview.
Great interview.
One of the best of all time, I think. Like
the best
any like post-match interview of any sport, one of the best of all time, man. That was.
Do you watch the fight? You watched the fight, right?
I saw. I didn't see that fight. I only saw the the highlights.
I'll paint it. I'll just tell you what happened. He got beaten up for the last all three rounds, and only in the last 10 seconds he threw one lucky punch.
The counter punch, right? The one with the left.
Who got beaten up?
So there's a fight.
I'm a novice at this.
Okay, so there's this fight between an American and a Russian.
Oh, so this isn't the Conor versus Khabib.
This is the fight before it.
This one of the undercards.
I'm sorry I asked in detail.
But no, but it's good. Trump is involved in this. You would like it. So.
Wait. What is that supposed to mean?
No.
It was just name drop. Go on.
So
I'm not sort of with Trump if that's
no. Of course not.
What people is inferring.
No, we love politics as well. Okay, just clarify.
He was just name dropped in the interview, in the best interview of all time.
Yeah. So it's basically this black guy, which the announcers called the Black Beast. Which at first I was like, whoa, is that okay? Like. That made from that moment I was like, the UFC sounds like a very conservative type of.
You can't just say it's just it's a black guy. Why can't you just say it's a guy?
It's an American black. Okay, no, I just want to give it context. That's why they called him the Black Beast, and that's why I had a problem with like the UFC calling him the Black Beast.
Everyone on this show speaks for themselves.
But they called him the Black Beast. So
but I think what you can say
go on,
is,
Peter. Go on.
This guy who's African American, let's say.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But I have no like. I have. Black
I know
friends.
you have no ill will.
Everyone on this show speaks for themselves.
I have black friends. Okay.
That doesn't make it okay. Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, in that fight, Derek Lewis punched. Okay, so he was getting beat up by this Russian guy. The guy landed 70. Like, if you look at the stats, right? Don't look at the result. The guy had 73 significant punches compared to Derek Lewis. I think it was like less, just close to 20 punches. So he was getting his ass beat for all 3 rounds. And in the last 10 seconds, where he was like on the way to losing that match, he threw a lucky haymaker, overhand right, knocked out the Russian.
Was it a right? Or
it was a right. It was an overhand right.
All right. I'll trust you on that.
Then the Black Beast mounted this white Russian and laid down some like can of like ground and pound. And when he won, right before the post-match interview, he took off his shorts.
Took off his pants.
And then I'll play the interview right after. It says, and he gave probably
why did he take off his pants, Peter? I want to know why. Why did he take off his pants? Let me know, Peter. Tell me why.
My balls are hot.
I'm here with the winner, Derek Lewis. Derek, why'd you take your pants off?
My balls was hot.
I understand.
And he said and then he. Oh no, but okay. Let's just talk about the call about how when he name dropped Trump. That was funny.
It's USA in this hole or some shit.
Yeah, like Trump called me and we had to fight these Russians. It'll make us look bad, So I had to do it for us, America.
USA in this hole.
USA in this hole.
No one will question your heart, sir, after this. This is a come-from-behind knockout, the likes that we haven't seen in a long time. And you were looking for that big haymaker all night. You found it in the last minute of the fight.
I forgot a few hours before the fight, Donald Trump called me and told me I got to knock this Russian out because they're making him look bad on the news. Him and Putin. They're talking about USA in this hole.
And then, he's fighting soon, right? In a month's time, he's going to fight.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know how Joe Rogan asked him, like, oh, so you were, you're probably the top 2 contender for the title. Now you probably have to be number 1. And he goes,
I need to sit my ass down.
Yeah, I need to sit my ass down, man. I'm not fighting for any title right now.
Dude, if you watch this...
Listen, Derek, you came into this fight the number 2 contender with that knockout. You're absolutely one of the top guys in line for a shot at the title next. So tell us what you think about that.
I need to sit my black ass down and do some more cardio. What you talking about right now? I ain't trying to fight for no title right now. Not with no gas tank like that.
If you watch his pre-match interviews, they asked him in his like the last few interviews, he says the funniest shit. They were asking like,
"What you can tell he's a clown."
Yeah,
like in a good way.
Yeah, it's like, why didn't you fight John Jones? It's like, I need to sit my ass down and improve my technical abilities.
I told them boys, I got number heart. They keep underestimating me. I ain't all that technical and all that, but I'm getting there.
And then before this fight, they're asking him, like, so what do you do different? It's like, this is a high-level fight. I had to up my training time. So how I train an hour now. I used to train half an hour every day. I'm like, holy shit, this guy is literally a joker.
Yeah, I like how at the end, like Joe Rogan tries to wrap up the interview, and then he just goes, "Oh yeah, maybe about like a week or 2, I'll come on your show and we smoke some weed."
So good, so fucking good. I can't wait. If he's on, we'll watch it. Oh yeah, but all right, okay. Now to the main event.
Conor Khabib. All right, wait, Peter. First of all, I'm gonna put it on a record. I'm gonna apologize to you.
For what? Because
I remember we were debating about whether we want to talk about this topic last week and the week before.
Yeah.
And I said that we don't really know too much. By say we, I mean me and Harry. We don't really know too much about this topic. Like, is it really going to be a good discussion, and is it really that relevant? And I remember you saying, it's one of those fights that. Not in these words, but it's one of those fights that, like, it's a big fight, so people in general know about it.
Yeah.
And people in general want to talk about it. And I said, no, I don't think it is. But you know what? I think you're right.
It blew up the meme wall, dude. The meme wall was hilarious.
Like, there was a lot of people that I knew personally who have no interest in the UFC who were interested in this fight.
Dude, you know how like girls don't watch sports? Girls watch this sport. Like girls were watching the sport. Like I was like on everyone's Instagram story, and like these girls were watching the fight. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Oh, so you're saying that just because they're girls, they don't watch UFC? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying in general. In general.
So why you gonna say girls?
No, I'm just trying to tell you how big this fight is.
Why do you say people?
Man, you guys are trying to get me.
Why do you try to say Peter?
I respect women, by the way.
Let's try to.
No, I'm just saying girls usually don't watch.
Everyone on this show speaks for themselves.
So Peter, for those who perhaps were living under a rock, like myself, don't know what happened, why don't you just briefly summarize what happened?
The Russian bear mauled the Irish like Big Mouth. Essentially, Khabib beat the shit out of Conor McGregor, and those who say that Conor won one round, they're lying to themselves. Khabib mauled the shit out of like Conor, and after that, hell broke loose, and it shows you that these two people genuinely hated each other.
Do you remember what I said last week? And then you remember you texted me after the fight saying that I was right. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Remember I told you how it's just gonna be two guys hugging each other for 90% of the time?
Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's what happened.
That's what happened.
But like,
did Khabib
it's Khabib's skill set. His
doing
skill set
all his punches while they were lying down, or what?
Yeah, he did.
Khabib's a wrestler, so that's his style.
Khabib's skill set is basically this: he put you on the ground, and if they get a takedown, you get points for that takedown, and obviously that like once he's ahead, when he's on the ground, Conor can't throw any punches. So like Khabib will win a round if Conor's on the ground, he can't throw any punches, and Khabib took him down. Khabib is going to win that round.
What was the final result? By points or what?
TKO.
TKO.
No.
He tapped.
Rear naked choke.
Rear naked choke.
Oh, Conor tapped.
Yeah, Conor tapped out.
So just from what I'm hearing, does this format favor wrestlers? Because Conor's a kickboxer.
Conor has been some wrestlers before, but
when the best goes against the best, I don't know if Conor's the best, but let's say elite wrestler versus an elite. Is Conor a kickboxer? Would you classify him as a kickboxer?
No.
What would you classify him as?
He's like a proper MMA hybrid, but he's essentially a striker. Yeah, like if you want to,
he's a guy that likes to stand up and trade blows.
Okay, so
he's a brawler.
Yeah, when you meet a wrestler, someone who likes to get on the ground versus someone who stands up, does the format favor the wrestler?
No. The way people look at it, no. The format actually favors the striker. Most times, if you look at all the champions,
if you can just grab him on the ground. If you can bring both people, like yourself and the opponent, on the ground, then you're favored, and it's much easier to do that, no?
Okay, Conor once fought one of the best like wrestlers in the form of Chad Mendes. So the first 3 rounds was very similar to this fight. He was brought down to the ground, but eventually the guy got tired because to wrestle takes a lot of zaps a lot of energy, and then Conor eventually TKO'd him like in the later rounds, the 4th and 5th.
Okay, but that's just one example.
Yeah,
I'm just saying in abstract.
No, in abstract, it's usually the strikers. Like the strikers do well. Yeah, like in the heavyweight division, John Jones. I mean, he's on drugs and shit, but he's still like Daniel Cormier. They're all just like it's a punch. They knock people out. They usually knock people out.
Personally, I don't know the
GSP. Who I
George
think.
But you're only looking at example. I'm just saying. Can a wrestler even the playing field by just bring him to the ground, like you were saying, and then you're on their territory, right? They're on your territory.
Personally, I don't know exactly how the scoring works, but my understanding of the UFC and MMA is that much like most combat sports, is that in the end it becomes a rock paper scissors, right?
Okay.
And so, I understand what you're saying.
So who favors who?
You're saying like is one style particularly better than the other?
Yeah.
And I think my answer to that would be, I think in certain aspects, yes, but in other aspects, like every style has its own pros and cons,
sure.
and there are ways of countering certain styles. Now, coming into this fight, people said that Khabib was favorite because his style matches up well with Conor McGregor's style.
Yeah.
Okay.
But having said that, I don't think the talk was around, well, this sort of wrestling style is better than a sort of striking style. And also because I think Conor is not known to have the best ground game.
Yeah. So
okay.
And so when you
bring
bring
his weakness.
Yeah. So actually, the more accurate I think pre-game build up was they both are master of their style, kind of like Conor is the master at striking, and then Khabib is the master of wrestling. Like obviously, like, and then there was like the build up. Khabib apparently not really good at taking punches from the last few fights. I watched the last few fights he fought against Iaquinta and Michael Johnson, and when I would watch those fights, I was like, oh shit, Khabib cannot take a punch. Like can't really take a punch.
Mm-hmm.
But then this match I believed like after the first round. If you want me to break down the fight. The first round zapped all form of confidence zapped a lot of the confidence out of Conor when he wrestled him to the ground. Conor didn't do anything.
I think you could see that he was sort of... I'm not sure if the word surprised is a good word to use, because I think he'd be surprised. He's probably like...
No, he expected a very good wrestler, but he didn't expect it to be that good. Then the second one...
Okay, so just raise the question. Conor's mistake was to get on the ground, to wrestle.
No,
he was going to lose.
He defended the first takedown well, but then he was so good and so strong.
Who? Khabib.
Khabib, that he took him down.
Yeah,
like, you're bound. Okay, basically this. If you're fighting Khabib in the first 2-3 rounds, you're gonna get taken down once.
You could see his game plan, and it's a game plan that my understanding is that it's a game plan that McGregor has used against other fighters who have a wrestling style, which is he wants to stand up.
Yep.
And he's not going to allow you.
You mean McGregor?
Yeah, and he's not going to allow you to bring him down. Whereas if you think about it, right, like that's a good, you know, it's
okay.
It's
easier to bring someone down than to fend someone from bringing you down. No?
Well, that's what you say, right?
No,
but the thing is, if you think about it, right, if I want to come and bring you down, I need to come close to you.
Right, and this is where you meant to strike them.
Yeah, and if I come close to you, if I come close to someone who's known as the best striker in the game, I'm gonna get hit.
Yeah, perhaps.
So you know, and that's the tactic that Conor has used. My understanding against other wrestlers in the past, was they'll come close to him and he'll, you know, he trains, so he trains to avoid that. Or you come close to me. You come close to me. You come close to me. I'm gonna hit you.
Yeah,
right.
I'm gonna punish you for coming into my space.
and that's Khabib's weakness, right?
Yeah.
Getting hit.
Yeah.
Right. So there was this. That's why I think coming into the fight, I think Khabib was the favorite. But if you read like why some people were like, Conor will win because of this, and it was more along the lines of because if Khabib comes and gets him, Conor's quick enough, he's quick
enough to dip,
and strong enough to dip, avoid,
and he has his longer arms.
So what happened? Did he not do that, or what happened?
Okay, I'll explain the whole fight. Very simple. First round, straight away, Khabib went for a takedown. Yeah. Conor successfully defended it. Second one, got him onto the ground. The rest of the match was just a hugging. It was just Khabib hugging Conor. No real significant punches. Obviously, Conor trying to get out.
But once a round begins, do you begin in the same position as you were when the round ended?
No.
So he took him down again?
Like boxing. Yeah, he takes him down. The second round, took him down again. And not only that, took him down in a position where he could lay down some serious ground and pound.
But so I want to ask, so Conor's strategy in countering the takedown didn't work, or was it too ineffective, or what happened?
Why have I said that Khabib was just probably the greatest?
I think it's physically overpowered, to be
honest. Overpowered, yeah.
Okay.
I'll explain this at the end. Let's just break down the whole fight first. Okay. And then in the third round, Conor got cracked with a punch, with an overhand punch from Khabib. Not a very conventional strike. It's like a very wild hand, punch. And it caught Conor, and Conor was pushed back.
Dazed.
Yeah.
Just quickly,
at that very moment,
their weight? What is their weight?
The weight.
Is there a substantial difference?
Okay, the weight I did some research. I listened to the coach giving a post fight breakdown. So this is what happened. So the weight class of the day before, when they weigh in, both weighed in at around 155 pounds. I think.
So they're similar.
Yeah, but in one day you could put on a lot of weight.
Right. There are weight classes in the UFC.
So Conor, coach said that usually after, if they go into a 155-pound fight, Conor will fight at around 170 to 175 pounds.
Okay.
And that same weight against like Mayweather. Khabib usually trains at around 190 plus pounds. So I would assume he would be way heavier. And you could tell that he was a bit bigger than Conor.
Right.
So from the third round, when he rocked Conor's world, at that point, like there was like no.
McGregor got one good shot in.
Got up and
got one good shot in.
But those punches, you could tell if you compared to his own matches, didn't have that snap as much because he was gassed from the wrestling.
Yeah, well, the unfortunate thing that is, I think you're right when you say like he was gassed from being
wrestled for the
first 3 rounds, and then. You know, when he had that one, I think it was the third or the fourth round, when he had that one sort of like, oh, he might come back.
The third one.
Because he clocked him.
Third one.
He clocked him good.
Yeah, he kept clocking him. And Khabib,
yeah,
everyone's saying, the announcer, the judges, no, the announcers, the commentators were saying that, oh, Khabib looked tired. No.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Conor looks tired.
Yeah, you're right. But, you know, Conor clocked him once really well.
Yeah, once.
Connected really well. And you thought, man, if only Conor wasn't so tired from the previous rounds, he could probably like, you know, really start making a comeback.
Then the fourth round,
but he looked gassed, man.
Fourth round when he was taken down, you could tell Conor had nothing in the tank to break out that hold. And Khabib is well known for this. He mauls you to the ground, and when you give up, usually the fighters, if you watch the last few fighters, they'll give in and be put in a position to have a submission hold. Khabib is well known to not being great at like submitting someone. He's just good at putting them down to the ground and pound, and that's it.
Yeah. I think it's more because Conor is obviously on the defensive.
Yeah, on the defensive,
and it takes a lot of energy to be on the defensive the whole time.
So basically, at one point, Khabib was basically lying on Conor, and Conor has hands supporting his weight. Conor was tired, showed his back fully, ran naked choke, done.
Okay,
tapped out.
So it just seems to me that Conor could not counter Khabib's taking him to the ground. Yeah, that's where the fight was lost to me.
I think fighting is one of those fights where it's maybe if the start of the fight, Conor went in aggressively and rocked him at the start, it could be a very different story. Like fighting is one of those sports that it's very that one punch, like the fight we were talking before, that guy was gonna lose. I bet you if we played that fight 9 times out of 10. 10 times we played that fight 10 times, it would be a very different story.
Let me put this. I think strategically, like they didn't get it wrong.
Yeah, they didn't get it wrong.
The execution, where it didn't work out.
Yeah,
strategically, Conor's like, all right, I'm gonna defend. I'm not gonna get taken down.
Yeah.
When he comes near me, I'm gonna sidestep. I'm gonna use my speed, and I'm gonna clock him. Right.
Yeah.
And that's you can see from round 1. That's what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
Right.
They know what all these fighters know how they each other fight.
Khabib is like, I'm gonna get in. I'm going to bring him down. So at the end of the day, it's like who executes their game plan better?
Yeah, agreed.
Khabib did.
Yeah. And so, I think, I just want to say, I think Khabib, I don't think Conor has any answers to Khabib. And I think the next fight that Khabib should fight, if this fight will happen, Khabib should go for GSP, who is the greatest, in my opinion,
GPS?
the greatest. No, GSP. He's the greatest UFC fighter of all time, in my opinion. But anyways,
so Khabib can put on 35 pounds after the weigh-in. Is there some sort of talent? Well,
no, it's not talent. It's just
it's not about putting. He can lose 35 pounds.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say that's some sort of talent.
I mean, it's the same as boxing, right? Yeah. Where like it's all water weight.
No, it's not. There's more to it.
Because it seems to me that Khabib just looks bigger, that they're not in the same weight class.
To be fair, no. To me, when I watched the fight as a not a massive fan of UFC, to me they look physically whatever. Like, they look the same.
But Khabib, Conor looked like more cutter. Khabib looked more like
it's not like it's like Mike Tyson against like Manny Pacquiao. It's like there's a big physical difference, right?
Yeah.
You look at these guys.
Is it enough of a difference to see?
No, they're the same height.
I don't think so.
They're the same
In
height.
my opinion, it wasn't.
They have the same height.
When it's wrestling, it's about
Khabib
your bulk.
Yeah,
right? It's
Khabib
about
is
weight.
your raw strength.
Okay. But anyway, regardless, the fight itself actually pretty uneventful.
I agree.
Not many talking points.
Oh, but the build up, in totality, there is a lot of talking points.
It's about what happened after the fight. Where there is
after the fight happened,
where shit went down.
Khabib jumped out the ring and attacked Conor's one of Conor's BJJ coach, Dylan Dennis, and all hell broke loose. Khabib's team came on, punched Conor, and then eventually when all security got a hold of everyone, arrest was made for Khabib's teammates. Khabib had to couldn't be announced the winner and the title.
Well, he was announced the winner, but Dana White wouldn't put the belt on him.
Yeah, wouldn't put the belt on him because they say people will start throwing things in the ring.
Or incense the crowd even more.
That
was his justification.
Was this from? It stemmed from. Was there some sort of bus attack? Long time. A couple.
That was a build. That's
part of the build.
That was a part of the build up.
No, right.
So Conor,
but they're the same two protagonists or antagonists with the bus attack, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
No. Okay. Dylan Dennis basically the reason why he incensed Khabib is because throughout the build up he started posting memes on his Instagram about him like, he's not Muslim, he drinks alcohol, like just making up fake shit on trolling a lot throughout the internet. And Conor has been saying that shit like your manager is a counter-terrorist informant, which I did my research and I think he is. Like he was once detained at the airport for having 5 different passports or some shit. But I don't dig in too much into this. But basically, I think the topic we want to get to is what Conor said too far in terms when he attacked Khabib's religion, family. Is that too far to sell a fight?
Well, I think,
and yeah, obviously we can all agree that what Khabib did was wrong.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the jumping the cage was wrong. I think I'm not sure if it's.
Do you see videos of the fights after? Do you see where one Irish fan got clocked and knocked out?
I mean, that's the reason why Dana White didn't want to put the belt on him, right?
Yeah, no, but I think they were gonna fight.
He said that there's so much tension in the arena right now amongst both the people in the ring and the crowd that if we put the belt on you, like it's just gonna like. Oh, he's just afraid that the atmosphere might just explode. I'll paint you a different
story. I think if Conor would have won, I think the drunk Russians would have been even more incensed and there'll be even more violence.
Well, here's the thing about that, right? So, coming back to the point about do you think that what Conor did was right or wrong? I think it's quite ironic, especially that someone like Dana White now is coming out and playing the victim and saying things like, this is not what I want to see in the UFC. This is against our values. Blah 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 blah.
He's playing the straight guy.
When he really is the one that has enabled Conor to.
Yeah, he has allowed Conor. He given them this privilege.
Yeah, to say the things that he said and do the things that he does.
Yeah.
So like.
And by the way, do you think there's some sort of tacit, maybe not agreement, but some sort of tacit understanding
between both fighters to do this? I definitely not. I'll tell you why.
You don't think
Because there's
so?
a clip that came out when
I think there is.
No, there was definitely not. Because remember the time where Conor was being ground and pounded by Khabib?
Yeah.
Khabib tried to smash him with all his might. Okay, that's not telling.
I mean,
I tell you what. No, I tell you what was said after that. Conor went to Khabib and said, "It's only business." As in, like, I think Conor was shook that Khabib was so dominant over him, and I think he was a bit like, "Yo, dude, whatever I said, then think it was only business."
What he said during the fight?
I'll pull up a video.
Yeah.
And he said, "Mate, it was only business." After him getting beaten up, I think he could feel the rage that Khabib was.
So you think this is real?
Oh, definitely.
I don't think so.
I actually think it's definitely 100% real.
I mean,
after watching that clip, I was like, okay, that's definitely real.
I think there are definitely elements to it that are real.
I agree. I think I'm.
But again, I think that there's a definite idea of, like I said before,
the
right?
fact that we're talking about this,
it's WWE, right? It's WWE.
No,
like it's scripted. Like the promotion is scripted to some extent.
I'll just tell you what, the bus attack, I think Conor was always going to do that to build up the fight.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I think that was so scripted.
Conor
it's
did
not funny.
Conor, yeah. If you watch the pre-build-up, there was a fucking camera of the inside angle. I was like,
it's not so scripted.
I was like,
funny.
dude, you stole this book out of Vince McMahon, my man. We'll talk about WWE after this, but okay. But during that fight, someone managed to caught a fan, not one of the UFC insiders. No, that was real. There's genuine
was real
hate
for the fan.
No, there's genuine hate.
Collateral damage.
But the thing is, the thing is, like, I don't think that maybe you're right in the sense that Dana White doesn't have...
The build-up was fake, but what has transpired after that fake build-up is real hate.
But maybe you're right in the sense that Dana White's probably not gone in the room. He's not had Khabib on one end of the table, Conor on the other end of the table. And
Yeah,
say, all right, guys, this is how we're going to build this up.
But
you're going to
I
do
know
this, you're
what
going
you
to do
mean.
that.
I know what you mean.
Right? But he knows what Conor's going to do, and he allows these things.
Yeah, I know.
And maybe he eggs him on a bit. Because let's not forget, let's not deny that Dana White eggs him on a bit.
Oh, dude, Dana White and Conor are like
close.
I mean,
that's not always been true.
Ultimately, everybody knows
he didn't vacate his belts when he should have. Like Conor went on like a vacation and when he's supposed to compete against someone.
That almost doesn't matter.
No,
right?
huh? What do you mean doesn't matter?
Because Dana White's going to do what's best for his promotion.
Yeah, best for his
and
promotion.
I think both Khabib and both Conor knows what's good for them as well. How do you have more build up? How do you get more of a payday?
Khabib didn't say anything in the build up about Conor. All he did was come to the press conference and said, "Yo, you disrespect me, I'm gonna make you tap. You're a chicken," and that's it. Then Conor went it's like me and you having a press conference, right? I go like, "Yeah, I'm gonna beat Harry. I think Harry's game is weak. He taps out this," and then you the way you rebuttal is like, "Yo, your mom's a whore."
No, but you don't.
Like,
but don't
that's
you
Conor though. That's Conor.
But don't you think like the stern Russian,
the character? Are you saying
that's
Russian?
a trope in itself,
Yeah.
right? Like, you know what I mean?
I'll say so.
So,
dude, that guy came from Dagestan. He wrestled bears. I don't think he's really into this theatric bullshit.
and here's the thing, right?
He might not be.
And here's the thing, right? For him to jump I thought
there's genuine
it was
rage,
a bit
dude.
suspect. I'm not sure, to be honest. Like, for him to actually jump the cage and rush the guy, right, and try to hit him, right? I think that was a bit
over the top. He didn't mean to do that, and he meant to sell it even more. Or
yeah, maybe. Like I'm not 100% sure
dude,
that
this is not WWE.
I'm not 100. No, but here's the
WWE.
thing. I'm not 100% sure that's spontaneous. The thing, the one where like one of his team members jumps into the cage and hits Conor twice. That one, I'm also not sure if it's 100% spontaneous. But what I will say is this: regardless,
both of them got arrested, and both of them are like never gonna fight the UFC ever again.
Charges will be dropped.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Regardless whether it's scripted or not, like you can't deny that what has transpired here, like the setup is for the rematch. Like
no, I don't think so.
The rematch will be a bigger fight now because of what's happening.
Yeah, Conor wants a rematch, but okay. I mean, if I think what's more likely to happen, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I obviously this is what was said before the fight and before the results transpired. The coach said he wants if Khabib wins, they were planning for him to fight GSP, and I think that's very likely.
Isn't George St. Pierre not fought for like?
No, he fought recently.
Years?
He fought this year against Michael Bisping. But the reason why I think he retired after that is because he had to gain a lot of weight for this fight, and he seriously damaged his intestines. But anyways, okay.
Look, I can understand why you forget about whether you're right or wrong. It's not. I can understand why you don't want to believe that this is staged because I know you really like this.
No, I don't really like UFC, but like, I think if you
believe this is authentic, it gives you the extra juice that it's not phony, right? Like, so I understand.
No. I like WWE because I know it's phony now.
Right.
But I buy the reason why I like it is because I buy into it fully. I go I know it's full, but you know what? For this moment, I'm gonna believe it's not. UFC, you could tell that they're trying to build this thing up. The only reason why I'm not a big fan of UFC, truth be told, I only like Conor because Conor is just a very likable character.
He's a guy that sort of transcends his sport a bit. His personality sort of transcends his sport.
He's the greatest shit talker you've ever met.
Sure.
Even better than Ali, I think. And I watch a lot of Ali's.
Well, his level is different to Ali. Ali's does it in a more family-friendly version.
Yeah, of course.
Whereas he goes, so it's a little bit easier for him to just throw out a curse word.
Yeah.
Like I think Ali is. It's harder for Ali to make it rhyme, to make it stay within the bounds.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
But I think in terms of entertainment, you can make an argument that he's more entertaining.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit more a lot more risque, right?
Yeah.
So, but. I just can't help wonder that, what's his name?
No, a lot of the build-ups
the
are
UFC
fake.
guy.
I can tell you, a lot of the build-ups...
Dana White is just kicking, he's just laughing. He's like...
He is, he's loving this shit.
Look what's going on. We just have to do tweak a little bit and they just buy into it.
He creates this atmosphere where these things are like, I wouldn't say bound, because you can't ever this is 100% going to happen. But he creates an atmosphere where these things are likely to happen, and he
there's
takes
an
advantage.
understanding.
It's like reality TV show. They try to create a certain situation.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what.
But he does. I agree with Justin when he says Dana White is a very, you can say shrewd, but he's coming out to play the good guy, and
Okay.
I don't buy it at all. I don't buy it at all.
No, he's
I
well
agree.
known.
Because he has to, right? In order to
obviously,
keep the
yeah.
story going
of
as
course,
well.
of course.
The boxing industry hates him. He's apparently has a big well-known history of being a terrible gambler in Vegas. But basically things. A lot of information about him comes out that he's not really like nice guy, and like you said, like just putting on this show just trying to make bucks. But okay, I'll tell you, I'm not saying that they genuinely hated each other from ever since the beginning. I think Conor
It could still be genuine. I don't,
Okay, the way I look at it is this: Conor, before every fight, he stirs them up for two reasons. One, to sell the fight, so he obviously go out and carry out these antics. Two, he tries to get them out of their mental game plan.
Yeah.
For example, Jose Aldo,
He tries to get in their head.
one of the greatest UFC fighters ever. Usually he doesn't fight like the way he did. He basically Jose Aldo got knocked out in 13 seconds against Conor McGregor. That was one of the fights that turned the UFC on fire. Especially Conor made him a superstar. I don't think like Conor goes actually hating Aldo all the things he said to build that fight. I think Aldo understands what Conor did. It's all this like it was just gamemanship or fighting gamemanship or whatever you want to call it. But I think when he attacked. If you look at all his attacks before and you compare it to the one with Khabib, he went really far. I wouldn't say he went really far. I think he probably crossed the line against Khabib, and that is what has transpired.
Well, what I'll say is this, right? Conor's way of promoting the fight and all that sort of stuff is based on shock and awe.
Yeah.
If you want to keep shocking and awing people,
You have
to
escalate.
push each time.
Yeah.
If not, you do the same thing. People won't
I
give
know.
a shit.
Like, if you watch the KSI and Logan
All right.
Paul, they pushed. Yeah, no, but they did push each other.
Here's what
as
I'll tell you. All right, and we can come back to this episode whenever this happens, which might be a year from now. I don't know. But here's what's gonna happen. Right? I'm willing to put my name on this. Here's what's gonna happen. Right? Conor and Khabib will rematch. Right? The build-up is gonna be as vicious, if not more so, than the build-up to this fight. Someone will win. At the end of that fight, they'll shake their hands. They'll shake each other's hands.
I agree.
and
Yeah,
they'll
I
respect
think
each other.
I think it might be.
That's what
I
will
think
happen.
maybe in the second fight they will. But like a lot of things could happen. We don't know what happens behind the scenes. I know you guys are buying into the fact that they're just keeping the storyline going, right?
I think so. Well,
But I'll tell you, okay, I'm not completely disagreeing with you. I know this story was obviously what do we call it? It was manufactured. It wasn't organic, right? But I think because of that what do we call it? Inorganic start. What's another word? Artificial build-up. But what has transpired after the
which worked.
artificial
It got people talking.
Yeah, it got people talking. But I think Conor did cross some lines where it won't. Like he genuinely pissed him off. I know it's an inorganic, artificial fire starter, but the fire of hate is real.
It may
from
well be.
Khabib's side, from Khabib's side.
It may well be, and part of it is genuine. Part of it is putting it on or acting. It's like a TV show.
Yeah,
it's a moneymaker.
Yeah, it's
right.
moneymaker.
You don't want to end if you can sustain it.
No, Khabib. Okay, but let's end this point. Khabib actually fucking hates McGregor.
I don't agree.
Enough said.
You may I don't know if it is or isn't, but all I know is it's a TV show. They want to extend it. They want to make stunts because people are watching. Why do they want to end the cash cow?
I just think Conor doesn't hate Khabib, but Khabib pissed him off.
How much do they get paid?
Khabib got paid. I think he got paid $2 million for the appearance. I don't know what the purse was from winning.
The entire thing. What is it? 5, 10?
I don't know what was the entire thing.
It's got to be tens.
It hasn't been disclosed yet.
Millions.
But for the appearance for the fight, making the fight, he got paid 2.
Yeah.
McGregor got paid 3.
Yeah, but I mean,
how
no
much
one gives a
is that?
shit about that.
Yeah,
it's about what's the purse, right?
How much was the purse?
We don't know
Approximately
yet.
10?
We don't know yet.
It's got to be tens of millions.
Yeah, it could
Think
be,
about
yeah.
this. For tens of $1 million, they can make themselves they can make themselves into hating someone.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that I just don't agree that there's this 100% genuine. Maybe
No, not
I agree
100%.
that there's some maybe dislike, but I think that.
They're not friends.
But they still know what they're doing.
Yeah, but I think
Every party in there knows what they're doing. They're setting up for a rematch.
I think the actions after. Okay, I don't think they're setting up for a rematch. I think they're gonna fight 2 different people. I'll make a bet with you.
They're
they're not gonna have a rematch right after this.
They don't make it
right
that
after this.
obvious, silly. They don't make it. But in the TV show, there are obstacles to you know how there's a love story, right? There's obstacles. You know, you don't always just go straight to the end, right? You have to
have to have a build up.
And so you actually bring these fights, the actual independent fights. Also, you make it popular. Yeah, correct?
But, so are you trying to tell me there are no fights where it's just born out of pure hate?
I'm telling you, I'm more likely to believe that when someone presents you $10 million and say, "Hey,
you're gonna do whatever to build." Yeah.
You're gonna make yourself hate someone because the payday is $10 million or whatever it is. You know, maybe 15. So I'm more likely to believe that.
I just have my opinion just because I believe the UFC have modeled their promotion based on the WWE.
But like
because it works.
There are other big fights where there's no real they don't build it up as much as this, and this doesn't happen. So you mean this is just maybe a new tweak, a new kind of.
I mean, this is Conor McGregor. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, this is a guy who buys into that idea and who's willing to, be that guy and who has the charisma. He has the.
Why didn't they get Conor to go out and jump into the crowd to fight someone else?
Because don't you think it makes more sense if Khabib does it?
Why? How so?
He's the Russian.
Okay, if you really think it's like that, okay, I'll play you guys some videos after. Okay, let's talk about real make believe stuff. Let's talk about WWE.
Yeah, WWE hasn't been good since the Attitude Era, man.
I agree.
Anyway,
no.
Go on.
Do you used to watch WWE?
Yeah, when I was a kid, my mom hated it. My mom didn't want me to watch.
You loved it?
I mean, yeah, I was a kid.
Okay, not you're like. What about you, Harry? Do you?
Never.
Oh my days! Not even a little bit.
I've seen bits and pieces.
Do you know the players in the game?
I've heard.
I can't believe they're still wrestling. Those guys. They must be like 50, 60 years old by now.
Let's start. When you grew up, who were your heroes?
I mean, of course, Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, I mean that was my era, right? Like Stone Cold Steve Austin, like The Rock, like
Eddie Guerrero. Chris Benoit.
Chris Benoit.
Triple H, Brock Lesnar, Goldberg. Yeah, okay.
I was a bit before Lesnar came in.
Oh shit. Oh, okay. Yeah. Then that was young. So I started watching it. I remember the year I watched it, 2003. 2003 onwards, I watched all the way up till right before uni. I quit after right before uni. But so yeah, when I heard that they were coming down, especially the wrestlers that came down, I decided to go watch. Do you know who came down? John Cena came down.
Yeah.
Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Kane came out.
They're all like 50 years old, man.
Yeah, dude. And they're still climbing up the turnbuckles and stuff. It was an amazing feat.
For WWE, I give a lot of credit to, some people say, oh, it's fake, da-da-da. Like, those guys are legitimate athletes. Like,
they are.
Legitimate athletes.
I'll tell you this. Their life on road, from my research and from my following, they work really hard. They spent their whole year traveling.
And from show to show, all around the US.
And they train every day, almost every day.
But that's their day job, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's tough. I'm just trying to say how tough it is.
It's so physically draining.
That's why they all take roids.
Yeah.
That's why they all take roids.
When you say physically draining, in terms of their travels or in terms of their performance in the ring?
Both.
You know, traveling is tiring, right? Like staying on a bus, and not only that, you stay on the bus. After that, you have to go to the gym.
Bus?
They stay on a bus. That's how they travel. They go on a bus, a raw bus, and that's like...
Yeah, but it's got service and stuff. It's not like like a tour bus, like a Greyhound.
I just say it's tough. It's tough.
No.
I don't know. I'm not going to give much...
Traveling takes it out of you, man. 100%.
And only that, you have to train every day.
It's like saying traveling for the professional sports people, basketballs or soccer. Oh, traveling stuff. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it is.
But they don't travel every day. They don't travel from place to place, and they don't they have a home.
You're talking about the sports professional sportsmen.
Yeah.
Or sports
No, I'm just trying to say that's why they need steroids. It's because they train. They have to do their individual training. Not only that, they have to block. They have to do their fight performance and block that performance.
Yeah,
all day.
But even people and I'm not trying to equate the physical toll of this and that. But even people who travel 3 or 4 times a month for work, as in for their desk job.
Yeah.
Right. It is physically tiring, man. I haven't done it over an extended period of time, but I've done it for periods of 1 or 2 months, right? It is
not sleeping in your own bed. That's a big deal, right?
I mean, it's just surprising how
but that's
tired you are.
That's part of any sort of professional sports, professional athlete, don't you think?
Yeah,
to varying degrees.
Yeah, but but I'm saying all these things within the context of these guys are legitimate athletes.
Yeah, they are.
Like they
a lot of them are failed like footballers, but they are an athlete in their own right.
They're physical specimens, right? They've trained themselves.
They're very legitimate.
Look
like,
at John Cena, man.
Yeah,
Look at John Cena.
Like they're very legitimate in my view, and like to do what they do, like what they do, 2-3 shows a week, something like that, in a different city every week, or something like that.
The Monday, like one every week, and sometimes twice a week if they have a main event.
Yeah, in a
and not all of them. Not all of them appear at.
Obviously not all of them, but there's some fighters who
like
are
the
in high
top
demand.
guys, right?
Sure,
the top guys.
The main
they get paid a lot. They get paid more, no?
I don't think it's a well-paying job.
But just because you get,
I think it's pretty well paid.
But it doesn't.
No. A lot of the fighters go back. The real money is made from when they like The Rock, for example, breaks into Hollywood. But a lot of the like even the main storyline fighters, they don't make that much. After a while, they come back.
What would be a reasonable salary for, say, someone? Is $1 million? Is that
for a year? Like
no, but I think just because you're paid a lot doesn't take away from the fact that it's a very physically demanding job. I don't think that's a controversial thing to say.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. Anyways,
right.
That aside, do you have any questions? It was a very great event. Actually, I'll tell you something.
So this was held at the MCG.
Yes, watching.
Just tell us what the event was like.
Yeah, paint the scene for us. Is it the ring in the middle of the field?
In the middle of the G? It was like how a boxing match would be set up in all these stadiums. It's like basically there'll be the footy/cricket ground, and then they'll set up a big podium, like a big ring stage, and then they'll have like the lights and a screen on top of the screen, like on top of the stage, and then everyone. It felt very okay. What I want to say is basically this: it's very hard to stage a wrestling match at the MCG.
What was the highlight of the show?
Oh, John Cena, just Undertaker. All right, basically. This is another topic. WWE, I feel, are struggling to replace their legends. They're struggling.
Replace who?
Their legends. Basically,
right.
The face of the franchise right now was the face of the franchise 10 years ago, and I feel like
who's the face?
John Cena.
John Cena.
Is he an actor?
He's an actor. Yeah.
So he's become an actor.
Yeah. So
okay.
Like The Rock, like these guys.
The Rock is no longer touring because he's got his.
No, but he still comes. He comes every now and then.
Okay.
So
to pay his.
What I'm basically trying to say, the WWE are still hung up on the old stars, and they're struggling to find a new superstar. The last real superstar, in my opinion, is still John Cena, because he's the only one that transcended the WWE. I mean, obviously there are superstars, new superstars in WWE, but they have struggled to transcend WWE.
But I also think the WWE, their market has shrunk in terms of like, because they've gone so family friendly.
Yeah.
Whereas when I used to watch it,
the Brian Panty match.
Like, like kids watched it, but like there was a big chunk of
it used to be like the American trash show.
Like there was a big chunk of adults that watched it as well, and they didn't watch it, I mean, they watched it because of, it's
girls fight, like hot girls fighting.
It was
real ass fighting.
It was PG-13, right? Now it's like, rated
super PG-13. Everyone.
Yeah, now it's like super family friendly, like
No, but okay.
So their target market has shrunk a lot.
Yeah, but anyways, okay, I'll just tell you the experience. So
how many people were there?
70,000.
70.
Yeah, 309.
Were there seats on the ground, or were you just
there
sitting?
There were seats on the ground, like plastic chairs.
Right. So you were in the stands.
I was on the stand. I was I was on the cheapest tickets, $40, because the tickets for the ground was $1,000.
Did you buy merch? Did you have any merch?
I was trying to get a WWE, like just the logo hoodie, but they didn't have any, and all
so
the
it was quite
shit.
Packed.
It was quite packed.
70,000. If
I think they were targeting. I was doing some research. They were targeting at least 100,000. But like I was looking at.
I'm not sure they're gonna get that.
No, it's because of the ticket price. It was too expensive, and it's not only that. I will go to a WWE event again, but not ever at the G.
Was that the only one in Melbourne?
No, they did once in the Etihad, 2005. The Rock came.
No, but so for this time around, that was the only show.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I like the way I look at it is like I think it's a great event. It's a good event to go once, and it's a type of event where you get piss ass drunk on cheap American beers, and you buy into it. You buy into the thing. You buy into all the crowd movements and the crowd chants. You just buy into it. It's so fun. I tell you how fun it was. It was so fun that like these little kids were wrestling on the ground, and when one kid was pinning some kid, the whole crowd was like 1, 2, 3. Like they're really good at getting the crowd engagement, but there were some things which were like just really bad. Like I think Justin will understand this. Every time when they fight, when they hit someone, right, to make the sound effect, usually they'll stomp the ground, they'll stomp the canvas, and then you hear boom, boom. But for the MCG, because you're so far away, what they did was they had a soundboard where they played samples. And it's okay, like if you buy into it, but it's hard to buy into it when they press it like 2 seconds later. It was that bad.
There's a guy like mistiming that.
So me and my brother watched it. Like obviously, some fights we were engaged, most fights we weren't because we don't follow it anymore. We don't.
Was that your first time being
at a
live?
WWE event? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you how big of a fan I was. I was such a big fan that back in Malaysia, the biggest event in the world, it was called WrestleMania. Right, it happens once a year.
I've
every
heard
year.
of that, yeah.
It happens on a Sunday in America, but it happens on a Monday in Malaysia. I one day asked my mom to miss. I missed school. I told her, Mom, I have to miss school,
because I want to watch WrestleMania.
And all my friends came over and we watched WrestleMania, and it was great.
No, I think despite me saying earlier that I think the size of the audience has shrunk. I think what's happened is that the size of the audience has shrunk to now mostly kids, but there's a very hardcore group of wrestling purists, so to speak, who.
Like me,
who are a bit like not you. You're like just a fair weather fan, right?
I'm not fair. I ride and die by Chris Benoit.
Dude, like, you yourself say you don't follow WWE.
I don't follow it.
I'm talking about like
but
now.
I'm contemplating following.
I'm talking now. They're like wrestling hardcore fans.
Oh
right?
yeah. They actually have a wrestling ring in their backyard and practice the moves.
I don't know about that, but like who will still go to these things, and like despite it being friendly and all that sort of thing, and despite it. Oftentimes, you have to like suspend belief in order to really buy into what's going on. I actually have no problem with that. Like, I don't have any issue with people saying like, I like WWE. I'm not one of those people who's going to be like, it's fake, right? Yeah, of course they know it's fake, but just because it's fake doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. Yeah, like if you want to enjoy it, that's fair enough.
Just buy into it. You don't bitch about it. Like
it's ultimately it's entertainment.
Yeah, ultimately it is entertainment.
And I think it's. I like this. I like to say. I think they build up a fight 10 times better than the UFC, except Conor McGregor, of course. But
when you say build up, what do you mean?
As in they sell the fight, the production is good.
Are you talking about prior to the event or during the event before the fighting?
Before, and even
before
during
what?
sometimes. No, before the pre-fight. So like
the pre-fight, while you're there or the pre-event.
The pre-event, the storyline build up. The preview.
How does it build up?
They have videos and even before the fights and the match, they play the reasons why. They play the storyline. So.
But I think when
I give you context.
Sorry, you go.
So what I'm trying to get at here is like WWE. We know it's fake, but I can buy into it more than UFC when they try to say, I hate this guy.
The outcome is scripted. Let's put it that way, right?
Yeah, the outcome is scripted.
Everything in WWE is scripted. Yeah, everything.
So what I'm trying to say is,
but the rage or the hits and stuff that's real, no?
Fake, all fake. But I'm trying to tell you that I still believe it comes off better than the UFC when the build up is fake in the UFC. That's why the UFC struggled to get more than one superstar. Like Conor just builds it up like better than a lot of other people.
But I think it comes down to training, right? Because a lot of the guys that go into UFC are trained
just pure
as
fighters. Yeah.
Whereas the people that go into WWE,
even
those that don't go even those that wrestle in like the lower unknown leagues and all that sort of stuff, like the whole core of wrestling is that you have a persona. Like that in itself, has everyone has their practice. Even if you're like in Jim's backyard wrestling, like you have your persona, and you're always acting, right? Yeah. So, of course, they are going to be better sort of
at selling a fight,
actors at selling a fight in WWE because they're trained in doing that.
Yeah.
Whereas in UFC, for example, they're not. So that's why I think Conor has become the star of the year because he's the guy who understands the value of this and is good at doing that and is good at being a bit of a maverick.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it essentially is this. You need someone like Conor to sell it to, for example, the everyday fan.
Yeah.
But you don't need him to sell it to the purist.
Yeah.
Who wants to watch a good fight of two? Yeah.
Is it my take that in UFC it's not purely the most technical, the most pure fight? A lot of people watch it because of the whole
the build
shebang,
up, the whole shebang,
and that's why Conor sells.
Yeah,
because if you truly like pure fight, you would get into judo or jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai or something else, right? But because they want this sort of entertainment value,
No. I think it doesn't. No, it doesn't matter. Like the fighting. I mean, they're great fighters in their own regard, but there's something about there's been a negative point about the UFC is that the best fighters don't always challenge for the titles. Not always that. It's not always the case. There's a lot of fighters. For example, Khabib. Like based on his record, he's got 26. He was 27 and 0, man. 27 and 0 now. But like before that, he should have had a crack at the by right based on his record. He should have a shot at a title back then, right? But they gave that shot to McGregor instead, because people want to watch McGregor fight. There's no market for. So you have to juggle business. People? It's a business thing.
So the people who are watching it, they're not necessarily the purest fighters. Like let's say some master martial art person, they're not going to watch that. That's not for them.
Right? I'll tell you right now. I'm not a UFC fan. I watched it purely because of Conor.
Right. So I think there are more fans who watch because of for entertainment than for fighting. The purity of the fight. Correct?
Yeah. No, there'll be a group. There'll be I think it's a Venn diagram thing. There'll be people.
Yeah, there'll be more. I think there'll be more. Look, who's the purest of? Let's say some grandmaster. No, that's a chess title. But what would be like a martial art grandmaster?
Yeah.
Right, or some very technical sort of jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah.
He or she's not going to bother himself with
in the UFC. He's just going to do his BJJ World Championship. He's not focused on that.
That's right.
No, but UFC, it's more of like there's money in it. That's why you fight in the UFC.
Well, there's money in it because there's fans.
Yeah, but let's also. I mean, it's also like the way it's promoted.
Yeah, the way.
Like a lot of things, like it needs to be packaged. I'm not saying that this will happen, but if you package up, let's say I don't know, like judo. Like the World Judo Championship or whatever. If you package it up in a certain way and market it in a professional way, maybe you will get,
I just don't think
it's a lot of ways like how it's wrapped in, or like what sort of box it's wrapped in.
Yeah, but like UFC is just one of those things where it's, at the end of the day, if you think about it, if you take away his style, that style, at the end of the day, you see two people
hugging each other.
Really fighting each other. Like, think about it. If we really fight, we won't just be throwing arms. Like, for example, if a real fight, there will be moments where I'm just like trying to grab you to the floor, take you to the floor.
Yeah, it's two people hugging each other.
Like mount you and then ground and pound you. It's a very
don't mount me, man. Don't mount me.
It's a very primal way of fighting. If you watch the UFC, it's very primal. Right? You watch it. It's not elegant. It's actually quite brutal if you think about it. It's like I grab you to the ground and I'm gonna smash your face. Right.
It's not elegant at all. Actually.
Yeah, it's not elegant. Exactly. That's what I mean.
But yeah, I get your point that it is brutal. It's almost like when you watch a movie, especially like an action movie.
Yeah.
It's not real. Yeah. But you suspend your disbelief for 2 hours.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You escape. And you want to grapple onto these characters, whether it's superhero movies and so forth, and you want to see a very nice, neat ending. You want to see some action.
Yeah.
And that's a form of entertainment, the way that a lot of people view UFC.
Yeah.
Even though UFC is people can watch it in terms of live. It's not scripted, although some of it is, right?
Yeah.
Some of the outlines are perhaps
the outlines.
But the thing is, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. UFC
I'm not saying it is.
UFC markets itself as entertainment first and foremost. It doesn't market itself as like
the purest of best fighters fight a little bit, but it's not usually that. That's why the best fighters don't always fight each other.
I don't begrudge. I mean, in a way, you almost admire Dana White for what. Didn't I read maybe a year ago it sold itself for $4 billion?
Yeah,
or
it sold
something?
$4 billion.
So you admire.
He kept a 1% stake, and he's the director still.
You admire his sort of business acumen.
Oh yeah,
right.
He probably gambled it all away though, but I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, that being said, I think that's why there's a market for like the WWE. Like it's like. It's like
it's just another form of entertainment.
Yeah, it's another form of entertainment. But what they do is like it's a marvel, right? Like
the
somersault,
I agree.
The fucking 619.
I agree.
Dude, when I used to go public school, me and my friends, shout out Jeremy, Jianli, and Sean. We used to move all the chairs and make a ring, and we would wrestle within this in a classroom.
I think every kid did that though. I remember doing that with my friends, not in a classroom, but like we go over to a friend's house and we throw it on the people's elbow for each other. We'd try to suplex each other on the bed and shit.
Yeah, agreed. Do you used to sleep over your 4 people on the bed? Have you ever done that?
No.
Okay, you never slept. Okay, never mind. You weren't as poor as me then.
Do you want to admit anything right now?
Yeah, we were so poor that we had to sleep on the bed. Like what was it? sideways. 4 people on the bed.
Is this at someone's home or when you've
my house,
gone
my place,
out?
my place when my friends had sleepovers. And one more thing is, how devastating was it to find out that the ankle lock didn't really hurt at all?
I mean, I think we found out pretty quick that like none of that shit hurts. Man. Oh no, that's not true.
Not true. The slap on the chest. Oh, that hurt.
No. Like
woo.
Sorry, put it this way: we found out pretty quick.
You found it much quicker than me.
That there's no way that these guys do this shit for real. Because once you try to suplex someone, like for real,
it's heavy, right?
On the ground, like yeah. First of all, you can't lift them up. Oh, right, like because you need the other guys to actually jump in order to
I didn't know that. Flip them over, I just thought they were inhumanly strong, you know.
And then when you land the other side, if you land like there's a reason we land on the bed, right?
Yeah,
that's because we land on the ground. It's freaking painful.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, so
I got speared in real life onto the wall, and I was like, hey, let's not do spears. No spears. No spears.
You know, and like you found a pretty good. The people's elbow actually doesn't hurt that much, man.
Yeah. The John Cena's you can't see me. That didn't hurt as well. But like, there's some moves that these players sacrifice like themselves. Like this Chris Benoit guy, famous case because he murdered all his family. But then they did. But it's not his fault.
Is this real?
It's real.
It's the roid rage.
This is real.
It's the roid rage.
It's not the roid rage.
I think I might have heard that.
They checked his brain. His brain was deteriorated.
Did he go to jail for this?
No,
he died.
No, he murdered himself.
He killed himself. He killed his own family and then shot
why?
himself.
It was because of one of his moves. He had this move.
Oh, you made it sound like Chris Benoit was at the WWE.
No,
event.
I'm saying back in the days, he used to be one of the legends.
Okay. Now
he
that
was
you
my
mentioned,
favorite
I think
wrestler.
I've heard that when that happened. I don't know when it was.
Yeah.
So,
it's a few years ago now.
That happened before the big breakthrough in CTE findings, like the finding of the.
So
CTE.
there was actual pummeling going on in WWE?
His move is called the flying headbutt. He jumps from a ladder and his head doesn't really hit the player. It hits the fucking canvas.
Yeah. For the sound.
For the sound. And
Yeah.
so that when they checked his brain has deteriorated. Like
Really?
it was
Yeah.
they compared it to a brain of a
Boxer?
No, a person with Alzheimer's, 60-year-old Alzheimer's. Case.
But let's not deny. There was also the roids.
And the roids. It
Those
was
are
both.
the
It was
roids.
both. It was both.
Sure.
But he was my favorite wrestler. I mean, rest in peace.
Yeah, and the thing is, like like these guys getting, they get suplexed, they get, they as much as
take a lot.
as much as a
They
lot of
take a
stuff,
beating.
as much as a lot of stuff is kind of fake. There is like a lot of physical beating they're taking as well. Like,
Yeah.
and I have to give credit to them for that.
Do you know Kane is the mayor of somewhere?
Yeah, just got elected this
County.
year.
Yeah,
just got elected this year.
Respect.
Well,
All
I
right.
mean, Jesse Ventura was the governor of Minnesota, wasn't he? Was he part of the WWE?
Who?
Jesse Ventura?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
shit.
Well, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he was the Terminator.
Yeah.
Really? Well, so you're
The
not
governor
talking
of
about a wrestler.
Florida. Governor of Florida. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No,
No,
you-
but we're talking about how like famous people can get these roles. Ronald
Oh,
Reagan.
yeah.
President.
Well, he was an actor. He didn't sort of stoop himself to wrestling.
Anyways, yeah. Let's close out by I think paying some homage to what Vince McMahon has created. I'll tell you a little about his story. He basically
Look, so to answer, because I know you sort of sneered at that, I think if Ronald Reagan was a wrestler, I don't think he would have been, at that time, elected president.
Fair enough. I don't think.
I mean, I was just questioning it because I don't know if I would use the word stooped.
I said
to
that
the
with
level of
tongue in cheek,
wrestling.
but
Yeah.
what I meant to say, it's not serious, but it is true though that acting is a little bit different to
wrestling.
wrestling.
Yeah, of course. That's why like John Cena. I mean, he's in Bumblebee in the new Transformers movie. Yeah, basically it's hard to translate like that type of acting to the big screen acting. That's why I think The Rock is a trash actor. No offense. Do you agree with me, Justin, or do you like The Rock?
Oh, there's any controversy about The Rock now.
What happened? Me Too?
He's cast in. I just read
Oh,
it
Fast and
today.
Furious.
No. He's cast as like some sort of like historical black figure who is revered in the black community. I can't remember his name. And there's like backlash against that about like why is it The Rock that's cast? Why is it like a black guy that's cast or some shit?
Oh yeah, he's like the flavor of the.
Yeah, it just came out. It just came out today. Like the whole contract just came out today.
Oh, send it to me. I want to read
So
that.
his cast started. It hasn't shot yet, right?
No, it's just a casting announcement.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
he's the most. Yeah, he's just being cast
I guess
all
it's
the
a
time.
business. I mean,
But
he's a
apparently
good.
he's good to work with.
you can say he's not a great actor, but for these movies, he's good.
Yeah,
like for the
the
audience,
kids love him.
That's right. That's right. So he's never going to win an Academy
Award. But we don't even know. Like personally, I don't even know what type of movie it is.
It's an action movie, no?
I'm not. No, it's like this isn't like like Green Lantern. This is like a historical like this is like a black figure in history.
Okay.
I'm not too sure what the movie is, but
basically the imagine they put him as Martin Luther King or something.
Yeah.
No, but I don't think it would be a drama, would it? I think it would be more of an action adventure type, because that's what he's. I think even though I don't watch many of his movies, but he's very good at being the hero for like an adventure action movie.
I mean, yeah, probably.
The Rock is The Rock in every
I wouldn't
movie.
be surprised, but the backlash is like I said, it's like, why are you casting this guy and not a black guy? And
like a black guy. Now it gets into colorism. Let's talk about this.
I think it's best avoided.
All right, let's close it out by like paying homage to Vince McMahon. I'll give you just a really little quick story. I think he moved to America as I think his dad his granddad moved into America as an Irish immigrant, and then the dad started off with a with a little wrestling promotion back in the days when America had so-called pro/amateur wrestling. These type of wrestling promotions used to be real. It used to be regional, right? Each region had their own wrestling promotion. Vince McMahon changed the game. He started making it. He made wrestling pop culture, and he made $1 billion empire today. I don't know how long, whether it will still keep sustaining its success. I read a report saying that he's been making more money with linear. He made the WWE network, which pumps out a lot of content, which is how a lot of companies are creating content today. But I think it's if anyone wants to really study a great businessman, study Vince McMahon.
Yeah, you can study Vince McMahon. You can
Mark
study
Cuban, anyone. Yeah. Are you talking about sports people?
Well, I don't know. Mark Cuban,
but Vince McMahon's story.
Him to be a bit. He might have struck it rich on one deal. Broadcast.com. It came on the top of the what's the word I'm looking for? Not top of the .com bubble. On the height of the .com bubble. But I would give Vince McMahon high plaudits.
Yeah.
I would also give Dana White high plaudits.
Yeah.
Whatever you might want to think of what they are promoting or what they're selling, the fact is they've succeeded beyond anyone's wildest dreams.
It's not like globally it's not like a globally accepted or like a well-praised sport compared to like other sports, right? It's like you think about wrestling and fighting,
but that also makes it more impressive.
Yeah, that makes it more impressive.
They made it more mainstream. It's one thing if you've brought the most popular game. If you're the head of FIFA, for example, right?
Yeah.
That's what's the big deal in that? Although they failed miserably,
But
to be able to popularize something that perhaps might not have been, you give them more credit.
Yeah,
which I certainly do. Whatever you might want to think of, whatever they're promoting.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh yeah, one more thing. I saw Ronda Rousey wrestled Justin, and I like to retract the statement that. I don't think I'll land a few shots, but I think it'll be an even fight.
Ronda Rousey will beat your ass and you'll cry.
Dude, she did.
It's not even any argument, Peter. Let's just end it now.
She'll flip me once. But all right, I like to end with thank you WWE for making my childhood and Justin's. All right, thanks guys. Good night.